What an atmosphere out here. Battle of the elements. Love this team. How about the defense? Love each and every one, man. Pats are back, baby. We got to go win one.
Pats are back, Diesel. The Patriots are back in the Super Bowl not long after the dismissal of Gerard Mayo, not long after Bill Belichick leaves town. The New England Patriots are back, baby. You heard it there from Drake May, and they will be playing the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Welcome into Wire to Wire. He's Diesel. I'm Cole Bryson. So good to be with you on this Monday. Hope you all are safe out there. Diesel and I both in the Ingalls Market studio. So if we can make it to work, you can make it to work, right?
Oh, where's Dewey yelling at everybody? Get back to work. Oh, the roads are clear. Oh.
Diesel, I wish you knew how many different people this weekend told me over text or on phone call these words. I bet Dewey's pissed. You have no idea.
It depends on what part of the upstate Dewey lives in. I heard that there were some significant power outages down in the Easley area.
Like Oconee County.
Cornchip lives out that way. So I hope Cornchip and his family are doing okay, and all you other Tolos that live out there in the Easley area. I don't know where, if you live a little farther out there, maybe you had some power outages as well, but my house, man, Malden, not a quiver in the power output.
I think the Easley area, to your point, in the Oconee area got hit. I don't want to say got hit harder. They just have more trees.
It's got unlucky, you know?
Yeah, and there's more hills, right? More trees. It's more rural. So Diesel and I both live in the Ingalls Market studios. I think we're the only on-air host live in the building right now, which is odd.
We were the only ones man enough to show up.
Cole. I mean, what are we doing here? The roads aren't even – look, I know somebody's going to fuss at me when I say this. Diesel, I drove this morning. I've been today, Boiling Springs, Gastonia, back to Boiling Springs, here. The roads are okay. The roads are okay. There's nothing wrong with traveling right now. I know people might say, you need to stay off the roads. There's nothing wrong. You drove here.
It's kind of eerie calm out there.
Eerie.
Do you remember what it was like the first couple of days, like after COVID restrictions started getting lifted, and there weren't that many people back out on the roads, and a lot of people were staying home. That's kind of like what it feels like again. I'm going to tell you right now, it was kind of nice to drive to work and not have to battle traffic and not have to sit, multiple cycles through a stoplight just to get through it. I enjoyed my drive to work today.
Diesel, I drove 85, and you talk about eerie. There was nobody.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not complaining now. I'm not complaining. There was nobody on 85. It was weird.
I think, we here in the South, number one, we're not raised in this, so we don't understand how to react and how to behave and how to drive. It's something we only get maybe once or twice a year, so we don't have that familiarity with it. But I think a lot of people are just using it as an excuse to take another day off work.
Yeah. I don't blame them.
It's like a snow day from school. Yeah. Everything is fine, but you know what? We'd rather be sitting at home doing nothing.
I don't blame them one bit, because if you and I were told today, hey, we don't have to come to work, we wouldn't come to work, right?
Would either one of us have texted our boss, no, please let us, no, don't tell us to stay home. Let us come to work today.
Listen, man, the reality of it is we're here. The roads, again, I know there are rural roads out there that are probably still messy. I get that. But the roads that I came up, the Diesel came up, they're fine. They're clear. I'm not advising anybody to get out and start driving around. I'm not, but I am telling you, I didn't encounter any issues getting here. Hope you all are safe. Hope you stayed warm. I think we also got very fortunate, Diesel, before we get right back to the NFL and the AFC and the NFC championship game. I think we got very fortunate with the power. I don't think a lot of people lost power to the extremities, that we maybe thought could happen. So that's a great thing.
I think it went a little more north of us, the brunt of it, that big swath in the middle, that kind of stayed a little more north of us and kind of stayed on the western side of the mountains just a little bit more, and kind of kept us a little bit safer. Again, it's funny, we were safer, but Dewey's probably mad about it because we didn't get absolutely smashed.
I'm sure Dewey's livid. I really am. A huge show, though, coming your way today, Tolo. So if you're not driving around, which I would suspect most of you are at home, look, we're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. You can stream the show on your smart TV with YouTube. Just type in the Fan Upstate. You can find us on the Alexa. Just ask Alexa to play the Fan Upstate. We're on iHeart, Radio. We're on TuneIn Radio. We're on the Odyssey app, fanupstate.com. So turn it on and leave it on from the comfort of your home or wherever you are. A big show coming your way today, Diesel. We're going to get into the Dabo conversation in the next segment. Boy, is there a lot to talk about there. Mike McCarthy news, a little trivia for us or me on this Monday. Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. It's been 3 weeks since we've talked to Grayson Mann. Overreaction Monday, little Deion Sanders, Clemson basketball, man, so much to get to. We want to hear from you at 844-326-3663. The Joy Law Firm text line is open as well as the phone lines. Do you know, Diesel, that you and I now are on a not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6-game winning streak with our NFL predictions?
Yeah.
You and I both picked the Patriots to beat the Broncos. We both picked the Seahawks to beat the Rams on Sunday. That happened. Any surprises? Both, by the way, were 3 and a 4-point game. So very, very close football games yesterday.
Can you do me a favor, Cole? We're friends, right? We work together. We're on the show together every single day. Please don't ever call me a knower of ball.
No.
The moment someone calls me a knower of ball, I'm going to quit the show. Please
it's
don't.
Almost like
it's douchey.
Well, you know what it is?
It's douchey to say I know ball.
It's like the guy who always has to tell people he's humble. If you have to tell people you're humble, guess what? You're probably not really humble. If you have to tell people you know ball, maybe you really don't know ball or you have some self-confidence
It's cliche.
issues. Yeah.
Everybody says, I know ball. I know ball. See, I knew that team was going to fumble there. I know ball. No, you didn't. You just guessed right.
I will not tell you that you know ball. I promise. But you've got that. Let's start with the Patriots and the Broncos, Diesel. That was the first game yesterday. Grayson Mann, I'm sure, is high on himself right now as a New England Patriots fan. 10-7. The storyline going into this game was no Bo Nix. Jarrett Stidham was the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And Diesel, I know that Grayson Mann might not like me saying this, or a Patriots fan out there might not like this, but here's my take. The Patriots won that game by 3 points, 10-7. Mm-hmm. If Bo Nix was playing yesterday, I know he wasn't, but if Bo Nix was playing yesterday, the Broncos would have beat the Patriots. Patriots looked okay.
Yeah.
I thought their defense was phenomenal. Jarrett Stidham connected on one long touchdown pass in the first quarter. Other than that, it was very vanilla from Sean Payton. So I think the Patriots are a very good team. I think Drake May's phenomenal. He's a hometown kid right up in Charlotte, Diesel. I think their defense is really good, but guess what? I do not think the Broncos win that game. I do not think the Patriots win that game if Bo Nix got injured. I think the New England Patriots find themselves in a very, very fortunate position.
Oh, yeah. The weather was certainly a factor in that game as well.
It was.
Come on, the second half had a total of 3 points. A field goal from the Patriots in the third quarter. And look, I know, Cole, that this is a hill that I've died on many times, and people will not say that I have any clue what I'm talking about, and that I don't want to see football played out in the elements. I don't want to see football played in that. I don't. I love looking out my window and seeing it. I love watching movies, seeing it. I love turning on the X Games and seeing it. But football is dull when it's played in those conditions, man. When you got to stop the game every 5 minutes to blow all the lines off the field so people even know where they are on the field, that's not good football. It may be a compelling environment, but it's not good football. So
I think you're going to definitely die on that hill by yourself.
I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it. And hey, again, I've said it again and again, every NFL stadium needs to have a closable roof, but they don't have to close it unless the conditions are extreme. And when they get to extreme conditions like that, think about this, Cole. What if Drake May can't plant his foot and his leg snaps because it's driving snow in the fourth quarter of that game?
Tough.
Well.
Tough. Yeah, it's football.
On.
It's football. Things happen. You tear your ACL, these on every other play. Every NFL player tears there's like 1,900 ACL tears this year.
I don't want to see a football game decided by which defense can stand closer to the heater for long enough that by the time they go out on the field to play, they're not absolutely frozen solid.
I love it. Everybody loves it. You're the only one that doesn't.
I know.
Jarrett Stidham was so bad yesterday. Number one. He was meh. Drake May, again, wasn't meh. What I took away, he was not great. He was meh as well, was what I was trying to say. What I took away from this game, the Patriots defense, they deserve a lot of credit. They used a slow, grinding defensive battle, Diesel, to defeat these Broncos 10-7. You mentioned it, only 3 points scored in the second half. New England advances to the Super Bowl. Drake May scored the only offensive touchdown. I think what's really interesting is through the air, Drake May did not have a big game. He was 10 of 21, 86 yards, no touchdowns through the air. He was sacked 5 times. Denver got after him, play after play after play. But it's crazy how in the game of football, one play, a 6-yard scramble for a touchdown can be the difference maker, and that's what it was. Stevenson ran the ball pretty well. They stayed away from the Buckeye Travion Henderson yesterday. I don't know why. He only got 3 carries. But, Diesel, that one run from Drake May decided the game. And New England, they're 14-3. They're 8-0 on the road. So, while they're not a flashy, sexy football team, you can say this. Mike Vrabel, what he's done, coming in, changing the culture, they went 4-13 the last 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a big difference in 4-13 and 14-3. What Vrabel's done, I don't think gives, people aren't giving him enough credit. Drake May's really, really good, but their defense is also legit.
What's funny is Mike Vrabel was a rehash, right? We complain about rehashes all the time, because we believe that if you failed in one location that has never had success, then you can clearly never be successful anywhere else, even if you're walking into a better culture and a better situation, which Mike Vrabel absolutely upgraded going from Tennessee to New England, right? You put a quality coach who got to that position in the first place. That is a mountaintop that only 32 of these jobs exist. It is really hard to get to that level. And he walked into a bad situation in Tennessee. Nobody has been successful in Tennessee. Come on. He goes to a program and a franchise that knows how to win, that runs things the right way. All of a sudden, bam, the guy blossoms. I mean, it really is impressive. And I think it's a good reason why you should always give people second chances in this league, unless they're Kevin Stefanski, in which case, just get out of here.
And, fit also matters. Him being a New England guy, having played there with the chance he won a Super Bowl as a player there, and now having a chance to win a Super Bowl as a coach, like that means something. Understanding the New England way, Diesel means something. The tradition that franchise has had for so long means a lot. And no disrespect to Gerard Mayo, but that was a bad hire. Where's Gerard Mayo right now? Nobody's knocking down the doorsteps to hire Gerard Mayo, and there were like 9 or 10 head coaching vacancies this offseason. So it was a horrible hire last year. It should have been Vrabel all along. They got Vrabel in, and yesterday they went into a situation, Diesel, where you talked about the elements and the snow and the cold weather that hit in the second half. They just kind of had to continue what they've done all season defensively, and Drake May didn't really have to be like incredible. Their defense was so good yesterday. Now, does their defense deserve a lot of credit? Or do you say, well, it was Jarrett Stidham? I think the truth of that somewhere in the middle. Data Racer on the stream says Jarrett Stidham gave their team 7 points. Stidham is trash. Also good to see Joshua on the stream as well. Stidham wasn't good yesterday. And Diesel, for as much as credit as we give New England's defense, I think you have to somewhere meet in the middle, because while their defense is really good, Jarrett Stidham is a guy who hadn't taken a snap or a start of the game in 3 years now? And that matters.
Yeah, but you could have looked at that first quarter when he hit that huge 55, 60-yard bomb there and thought, oh my.
Yeah.
Is Jarrett Stidham going to prove to the world right now that he's a quality quarterback?
Well,
Is this the coming out party for Jarrett Stidham? Are we looking at him the same way we look at Sam Darnold, who was pretty bad at a couple different places, and all of a sudden you're in the right situation, you show out? I mean, he could have gotten a starting job somewhere else next year if he had won this football game for the Denver Broncos. And it appeared as if we were going to get that kind of game out of him for a second there, at least. And then, Wile E. Coyote, he fell off a cliff.
No, for a second after he threw that, I thought, my gosh, that was an incredible throw, number one. And then number two, I was sitting there thinking what you just said. Oh, my. maybe this guy can actually do it. Now, New England advances out of the AFC, out of the NFC last night. Just an incredible football game. 31-27. Seahawks edged the Rams. Diesel, this was phenomenal. No points were scored in the fourth quarter last night. Seattle was obviously the better team coming in on paper as they were favored. They won 31-27. And you just mentioned Sam Darnold. Is it time to give that guy his flowers? Because just a few days ago, Diesel, on all the debate shows nationally on First Take and everywhere else, people were still questioning whether Sam Darnold could take Seattle to the Super Bowl. And right now that looks ludicrous. That looks like a ludicrous take because he's in the Super Bowl. Last night, he was 25 of 36 for 346 and 3 touchdowns, a QBR of 82.9. Pretty good. So Sam Darnold, you talk about a retread. He was in, New York, Carolina, Minnesota, and now Seattle.
He was good in Minnesota, by the way.
He was really good last year in Minnesota. The playoff game, obviously, against the Seahawks, I think it was, is kind of what did him in there. But, my gosh, yesterday they were really good. Matthew Stafford was also really good, 374, 3 touchdowns. That was a heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
Diesel, this almost felt like the Super Bowl last night, even though it wasn't. To me, those two teams are better than the two teams that played in the first game.
I mean, yeah, you can make that argument. Maybe yesterday was just a bad game for Drake May and these New England Patriots. Maybe it was a bad matchup. And like, these Patriots have been really good all season. That's not to say that one bad game means they're a bad football team now. Maybe we get that great game. We don't know. We don't know what the Super Bowl is going to be. We hope it's going to be outstanding. But yeah, I mean, maybe that means if I'm Xavier Legette, I'm saying, hey, please trade me because I want to go be great somewhere else.
Yeah, maybe so. Sam Darnold, man, I just think he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah,
but their defense was good as well. If you remember, they made that crucial 4th down stop late in the game, right? They had the taunting penalty. But you look at what they did offensively. Both teams were right around 400 yards. Both teams were really good through the air. Both teams really good on the ground. It was fun seeing Stafford, as old as that guy is in quarterback years, still have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. Sean McVay was asked this question, Diesel, after the game about Matthew Stafford. You may have heard it already.
Expect Matthew Stafford to be back next season.
Yeah, I mean if he still wants to play, the hell kind of question is that? The answer, yeah. You have to ask him. We've been totally present. I know that if he wants to, he's still playing at a pretty damn good clip. I mean, he's the MVP of the league, and if he's not, I got respect for everybody else, but this guy played at a level that's just different.
So
37, by the way, Matt Stafford.
Yeah, I get the question, but at the same time, to Sean McVay's point, Diesel, he was phenomenal this season.
It's a sad thing about the NFL and about reporting in general, right? People just want to know. They want that clickbaity title. Matt Stafford made a decision on his future. They want it now. They don't want to wait until the offseason when he's actually thinking about it.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about the game because that means you actually had to pay attention and do some work and come up with some real questions. I mean, this guy could have thought up this question a month ago, and everything that's happened to this point since would not have affected his decision whatsoever. This guy was going to ask the question no matter what. Is Matt Stafford going to be back next year? Like, you asked that question a month after the season is over, not 5 minutes.
What'd you say? How old did you say he was?
37.
So here's what's interesting about that. Kevin, by the way, says Jets, Raiders, Browns is purgatory for quarterbacks drafted there. Very true. Blake says, I believe it was against the Rams last year, but yeah, Sam deserves his flowers. Thank you, Blake. It was the Rams that beat the Vikings in the playoffs. He says Sam deserves his flowers for the way he's come on after being thrown into some terrible situations. There's no doubt about that. But listen to this. At 37 years old, that's what you said Matthew Stafford's age was. This year, he threw for 4,700 yards.
Monster.
Diesel, the last time he threw for even close to that was 2021, his first year with the Rams. He threw for just over 4,800. And then you talk about the career, the longevity of that. Guess, you know how many times he's thrown for 4,700 yards? Not many. You look at back all the way through Detroit, where he had really good careers. Only 3 other times in his career, Diesel, from 2009 until today, has he thrown for 47 yards. So he may be 37, but he threw for almost 5,000 yards, 46 touchdowns. You know how many interceptions? 8. That's a 46-8 touchdown to interception ratio. A QBR on average this season of 71. So Stafford was good. He wasn't the reason, they lost that game yesterday. And now we get New England and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Just a rematch. It felt like yesterday we were watching Russell Wilson versus Tom Brady. And here we go all over again. I think it's going to be a good game, but yesterday was phenomenal. Hats off to the Rams, the Seahawks, Sam Darnold. Oh, and last thing. Is Mike McDonald getting enough praise as well, the coach of the Seattle Seahawks? I mean, this guy in 2 years, Diesel. You think about all these coaches, revolving doors, teams like my Cowboys who hadn't been to a Super Bowl since, 18 BC. Think about it. Mike McDonald in 2 years has taken this Seattle team to a Super Bowl. I just think that says so much about right fit, culture, and this Seattle team, to me, they look like the best team in the NFL.
When we come back, Cole, we touched on this on Friday because it was breaking news on Friday afternoon. We've had a little time to process it. Going to get back into the audio. Dabo Sweeney upset at what's going on with his roster and Ole Miss and Pete Golding. What's going to become of this situation? There's cheating down in Oxford. We'll talk about it next.
call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
I'm just going to say this. This is like there's tampering and then there's blatant tampering. You know, tampering 101 is when you're talking to kids who aren't in the portal. Tampering 201 is when you've already negotiated the deal with the kids not in the portal. Tampering 301 is when you got a kid who's gone in the portal, signed somewhere, moved there, gone to classes, and you're texting them while they're in class. That's like a whole nother level of tampering. And it's total hypocrisy.
Step right up and place your bets, Cole. The evidence, well, it seems irrefutable. Dabo Swinney laid out, and we're going to play some of that audio here in this very segment as well, laid out exactly the timeline as he saw it and corroborated by other folks of what happened and how Luke Farrelly, who was at Clemson, who had moved to Clemson, bought an apartment at Clemson, got a car at Clemson, was enrolled in classes at Clemson, and was being texted by the Ole Miss head coach while in class at Clemson, is now in Oxford. Yet somehow, some way, Cole, we have heard basically nothing from the NCAA or anything yet about this situation.
Well, Pete Thamel did say this morning, Diesel, on the Pat McAfee show that the NCAA is aware of it. It's been submitted to the NCAA. Last year, they investigated 93 tampering cases in college football. So obviously, the paper stacked up pretty high. I don't know any way, shape, or form and see how they can't be penalized for this. Yeah. I don't have any faith in the NCAA, but my gosh, this is pretty blatant.
I don't have any. Yeah, you're right. I don't have any faith in the NCAA, but I also don't have any faith in college football fans, Cole, because, and this is a nationwide problem right now. We are unwilling to call out evil when we see it. We're unwilling to call out wrongdoing when we see it. And when you have blatant evidence of cheating in college athletics, which everybody knows this is cheating, but if you're an Ole Miss fan, you're saying, Dabo's weak, Dabo's soft, Dabo's cooked. This is just how you do things in college football these days. It's not how you do things in college football these days. It's how cheaters do things in college football these days. But the problem is, there's cheating. There's a mountain of evidence of cheating. There's a mountain of allegations of cheating. But so far, no one's been punished on a major scale for cheating. So just like Eli Drinkwitz said a couple of weeks ago, there's no such thing as tampering because there's no penalty for tampering. True. And from what I saw, and Pete Golding's response to this was hilarious. He just responded with a shark emoji on Twitter. He just posted a shark emoji. Like, I'm a shark. Deal with it, guys. I mean, he is throwing up a middle finger to anybody and everybody, including the NCAA, saying, well, it's not cheating if you're not willing to do anything about it.
Well, first and foremost, I do think that Dabo Swinney, I am glad that Dabo Swinney did go scorched earth and hold court like he did on Friday afternoon. I think it needs to be said. I think it needs to be brought up. But here's the reality of it, Diesel. When you talk about why, and he said this, and you've heard this as well, in that press conference, he said, you know how many coaches have reached out to me about this whole thing? And I've told them, hey, if y'all want to change, if y'all want to see something done different, you need to speak up about it. The reality of the situation, though, is it's just like if you were called into your boss's office or I was called into my boss's office and there were 15 other people in the room, and we were all in trouble for the same thing, and you and I were guilty, just like they were guilty, and you and I really wanted to snitch, but we couldn't because we were also guilty. That's what we're looking at here. Like, nobody else is going to speak up because 90%, I would say 90% of college football is tampering. And there's probably a large majority of those coaches and programs that are doing it illegally. So Dabo wanting other coaches to step up is not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a really sad development. And I have that audio here as well. Dabo Swinney says a whole bunch of coaches have reached out to me saying the same things are going on in their programs.
And to be honest with you, this is crazy. To me, this situation is like having an affair on your honeymoon. That's basically what we're dealing with. And I know for a fact that this is happening at other places. Because you know why? Because I've had a bunch of coaches over the last week that have reached out to me. And they're going, well, let me tell you what's happened to me. Let me tell you what I know. Let me tell you my story. I've had a lot of people reach out with their stories. And so I want to challenge all of those coaches that have reached out to me. I want to challenge all of them. You need to step up and call it out.
He says you need to step up and call it out or shut up.
He's right, but it's not going to happen.
That's what's so pathetic about all of this.
Yeah.
And is Dabo the only one out there running a righteous program? I don't know. Probably not. He might be one of the few.
Probably a handful.
He might be one of the few. But so far, and it's been what, 3 days since this press conference happened?
Yeah.
I haven't heard a single other coach, a sitting head coach, or a guy that just left a head coaching job who can call out and say, this is what happened in my program. It just happened last week.
And you won't.
Not one. That's what's really damning about all of this is not one. They have a prime opportunity to step up and expose the level of corruption that's going on in college football and the blatant disregard for the rules set out by the NCAA. And no one has stepped up to back Dabo.
Yeah. And look, I do think the NCAA will investigate, but who knows if there will be penalties or not, if any. I don't know. By the way, side note, have you seen that they left Luke Farrelly's profile on the roster active? Did you see that?
Yeah.
And what happens when you click to it?
Yeah. It takes you to a timeline of the events of how it happened. That is some petty girl stuff right there.
It is. It's funny, but I couldn't believe that was actually real when I saw that. The larger debate, though, is the coaches and the fans, Diesel, you and I, we're all concerned, right? It's poaching players. It's unethical. There's nothing about it that makes us feel good about the sport. But Sweeney's remarks, I just think they were very powerful. And I think they took the college football world by storm. It's even being talked about on the ESPNs of the world today, 3-4 days later. But again, it goes back to what I said. If everybody's cheating, if everybody's tampering, it's Nick Saban that said it first. He was getting out because he didn't like it anymore. And, the minute that Dabo dips his toe in the portal, this happens, and the shark bit his toe off. So literally, he's like, oh, no. That's what we talked about last week, if he would retire one day. The reality of it is what you said is it is sad. It leaves us as fans in a place where we're doing this. Our hands are up. What are we going to do? What's going to come of it? I think I'm with you. I don't think anything comes of this.
And fans, like I said, I've had a lot of interactions with some Ole Miss fans over the weekend, all of them saying, well, they're essentially deal with it, right? Like they're fine with it because it's their program getting a player. Like, what if this guy doesn't even pan out for Ole Miss? What if he's average or mediocre at Ole Miss? That means you have essentially sold your integrity for a mediocre player.
And it just shows where we are. Diesel, it also shows where we are as college football fans that you bring that up. We don't care.
Right.
Like, that's where we are now. We don't care if it's illegal.
People will justify anything so long as it's their tribe, because this is tribalism, at its finest. As long as their tribe is doing it, it is justifiable, and it's necessary to go out there and win college football games. And I've seen people justifying and say, well, Pete Golding had his team in the playoff. No, he didn't. Lane Kiffin had that team in the playoff.
It's
Pete Golding just got the job.
Diesel, it's WAC, WAAC, win at all cost. That's all it is. And college football fans, and you talked about Ole Miss fans. Unfortunately, I've seen South Carolina fans this weekend and media members and Gamecock, fanboys. They have no issue with it, because they hate Clemson so much, because they hate Dabo. Of course, you only
have an issue with it when you're the one losing a player.
That's right. And all the coaches that reached out to Dabo, I'm sure they hate it as well. But you know what I would like to have asked if I was in that? I would have liked to raise my hand and say, hey, you should have asked those coaches, why aren't you speaking out? I mean, why aren't you? Why aren't you saying anything about it? That's what we want to know.
Why didn't Dabo name names? If it's Mike Elko, I'm just making this up off the top of my head. If it's Mike Elko who's dealing with this, if it's Steve Sarkisian that's dealing with this, if it's John Sumrall that's dealing with this, if it's Eli Drinkwitz that's dealing with this, why Dabo say, you know what? I got phone calls from this guy, and this guy. all sitting head coaches at ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12 programs. You guys told me that you have dealt with this in your programs. Why haven't you reported it?
And Pete Golding, by the way, sending the picture of the contract worth $1 million to Luke Farrelly. Like, how does that happen? What are we doing
when there's smoking gun, when there's essentially a bloody fingerprint on the murder weapon, and people just say, it's no big deal, it's fine. Like, really? That's the world we're living in, where we know something bad is happening and we are unwilling to do anything about it.
But it goes back to what we talked about a few minutes ago. The NCAA is, in this case, and this happened in college basketball as well in the last 12 months. But in this instance, in this scenario, the college football, NCAA, whatever governing body takes a look at this has as much evidence as they need. Like, there's nothing else. If Dabo Swinney and he talked about in that audio that you had, Jordan Searles, the GM of Clemson, going back and forth with Luke Farrelly, and the picture of the screenshot and the text messages at 8 a.m. Are you still under what's your buyout? Mm-hmm. What else? If we're going to have law and order in college athletics, what else evidence do you need?
And the fact that Luke Farrelly's agent said, we'll come back if you'll extend the deal and give us some more money. Yeah. And Jordan Searles said, no, we're not going to do that.
Unreal, man.
Like, you're caught in a situation where you're caught cheating just as much as Pete Golding was. Yeah. And you're going to try to turn that into more money and more leverage against Clemson. Get out of here. We don't want – see, that's what I want to know. Do fans and Tolo's text in right now, yes or no. Do you actually want law and order in college football? Do you actually want that? Because from what I've seen on social media, and I get that is the worst of the worst people that are on social media.
Sure.
Those people don't want it. They want it so long as it's entertaining and as long as it's their team getting a player. But when it's not your team getting a player and it hurts you, you absolutely hate it. So the question is, do you actually want it, or do you want it to be wide open? Because the next step is guys playing for 10 years in college football, and you're going to have guys changing schools in the middle of a season, play the first half of the season in one school, play the second half of the season at another school, maybe even a competitor. I mean, that's where we're headed. Are you okay with the continuing to go down that road?
I think the fans are okay with it, and I'll tell you why. They're not affected. True. Fans aren't affected. Now, the moment that money starts getting affected, that your money gets affected, my money gets affected as employees of this station, honestly, Greenville, that's the moment we quit coming to work, right? The moment the money's affected, Diesel, on the NIL side of it, I think is when we'll actually see some maybe discourse. You have more audio, you said, by the way.
I do.
We'll get to it in the next segment. I want to also ask the question, what does it say about Luke Farrelly? What does it say about him? That's next.
Fan Upstate.
Tolo's on the stream. Where did you go? We had good interaction around the NFL, but we start talking Clemson local and you disappear. Where are you? Let us know. 60 Tolo's watching the show on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, as you can do on this cold Monday. Hope you all are staying safe. Diesel and I both in the Ingles Market Studios. Let's continue on this conversation. What does it mean, Diesel, like on the part of Luke Ferrelli? Like, what's it say about him? I don't know that you can necessarily, in this world that we live in, blame him because it's allowed. But at the same time, he did Clemson dirty.
I can blame him. He's a grown-ass man. Come on now. He's a 19, 20-year-old young man who was playing college football at an ACC institution in Cal. He made his decision to enter the transfer portal. He chose somewhere. He signed a contract. He should have read the contract. I hope he read the contract.
Probably
he should
didn't.
understand that when I sign a contract, it is legally binding. He made a decision. He came to Clemson, and then poof, he's back out. It's like Dabo said. It's like having an affair when you're on your honeymoon.
Yeah. No, I do think he is to blame in part, but I also think in large part his agent's to blame just as much, if not more, than he is, Diesel, because we've had this conversation, these agents, right, in air quotes, what's their intent behind it? So I definitely think there is some blame to be put on him. It's just so messy. More on Dabo. Let's start with, which one do you have up first?
Let's start with the messages, or Dabo recounting the messages back and forth between Luke Ferrelli and Pete Golding while he was in class.
Oh, boy.
Oh, hang on.
Sorry.
Start that back over. Bam.
The head coach at Ole Miss texted him on Wednesday morning when he was in his 8 a.m. class. And he said, the text message said, "I know you're signed. What's the buyout?" Coach Golding also texted him a picture of a $1 million contract. Coach Golding had Trinidad Chambliss call him from his phone, and that Coach Golding was there continuing to talk on his phone to push him to re-enter the transfer portal. He also said that Jackson Dart had reached out and called him. But Luke again assured Jordan that he had no intention of leaving.
You know what's funny, Cole?
Wow.
It's not in any of these clips. Luke toured Ole Miss. He said he didn't like it. He said they were discombobulated. He said they were all over the place. He says he chose not to choose Ole Miss.
And the only reason he did was because of $1 million contract.
Yeah.
And he made more there. He was going to, or is going to make more there. And what I think is interesting about it, what Dabo said there, and the whole decision to go back is, I just wonder from Luke Ferrelli's standpoint, is anybody in his circle guiding him like in the right way? Does he have parents that are guiding him in any good faith, or just like where are the people that actually want good out of this? Or is it all about every dime you can make, I guess?
It's about it. I mean, I had somebody justify it to me on Twitter saying, well, he's going to make more money at Ole Miss, so it's okay for him to do it.
And that's the only thing that matters. By the way, he better be a heck of a player.
He better be a
heck of a player.
This is where this gets into. This is where it gets into like daytime TV show drama.
Yeah.
Where members of Clemson's staff had to go drive to his apartment as if they found out that their boyfriend or their girlfriend was cheating on him. They had to go see it for themselves. They drove to Luke's apartment and found him in the driveway.
Jordan called the agent, Ryan Williams, again to alert him that Luke had requested to enter the portal. He responded via text to let him know that he was flying. Sorrells texted, "Luke just reached out to our compliance and requested to go in the portal. What the heck is going on?" The agent's response was, "Oh, bleep."
So that tells me that the agent may not have even known what Luke Ferrelli was doing.
How though? Like that's what it's just so awful, messy, and terrible. Like the agent doesn't know what it like, and the Tom Allen and Jordan Searles, the GM, are having to go to his apartment.
Yeah,
on a Wednesday night.
Track him down. Here's where they continue about the apartment side.
Let me try and find out. At 4:40, Sorrells and Coach Allen arrived at Luke's apartment. Luke was in the driveway when they got there. His immediate response was, "I'm going to Ole Miss."
I'm going to Ole Miss.
Going Ole Miss.
That was his immediate response.
No discussion. No, hey, I know why you're here. I'm really sorry for this. I made a terrible decision. It's just, I'm going to Ole Miss.
I think it's crazy that he had Jackson Dart and Trinidad Chambliss reach out to him.
I know. And here's the worst part, Cole. This is the agent tries to use this as a way to blackmail and get more money out of Clemson.
Yeah.
The agent communicated that if we were to add a second year at $1 million to the already agreed upon deal with Luke, then they would gladly give us whatever we need in order to turn Ole Miss in, which Jordan appropriately said, no, we're not doing that.
Give us $1 million and we'll send you the screenshots.
We'll give you the evidence.
What are we doing here?
You know, it kind of feels like we're in an era of college football, and I like to see what trickle effect this has on the NFL 5 years from now. But it almost feels like, Diesel, we're in an era of college football right now where the players that know they're not going to make millions and millions and millions in the NFL, they're not good enough, are trying to squeeze the lemon and get every single drop they can at any cost. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
And that is like, no, it doesn't even matter about the sport anymore. We're not even talking about college football. We've spent 2 segments today talking college football, not about X and O's.
There's more people who are into this messy side of it than they are into the game.
It's just so awful.
That's just where we
I hate it.
Cole, when we come back, there is a fascinating stat, I guess you could call it a stat, about about fellas that have been U.S. presidents and quarterbacks that have taken their team to and won a Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
Coming from the same colleges. And I'm going to play a little trivia game, sort of a trivia game with you to see how close you can get to the number of president they were and the number of Super Bowl that these quarterbacks won their first Super Bowl. We'll explain more on the other side of the break. That's next. So we got a message earlier today, Cole. We called out Corn Chip by name, and he said, I definitely said I couldn't get out of my neighborhood this morning. Whether that was true or not, it wasn't worth finding out. You know, if you get that email from your boss, we didn't get that email from our boss. We got the text message, hey, can you guys come to work?
Yeah.
And we're both like, yeah, of course we can come to work. The roads are fine. It's
Perfectly fine.
It's good. But there's a lot of people, Cole, who take the opportunities when they get them to not go to work. And I have a feeling that's what a lot of people in the upstate, that's why they freak out about, I haven't even braved my way down to the end of the driveway to see how bad the road is. But I hear it's pretty terrible out there.
Well, when you're told for a week and a half that we're going to have a record storm and you're going to be without power for a week and you need to go to the store, buy a generator, when you're told that by your local meteorologist, you're going to have people who – I have friends that did the same thing. They went and bought, all kind of stuff.
But now you're stocked up.
You're stocked up, but you
good.
should be stocked up regardless. You shouldn't wait till the storm.
That's true.
The fear factor that these meteorologists put in people, it's insane. I'm so tired of it.
Well, if you don't do it, people won't take it seriously. Then they'll say a hurricane coming. I didn't know about a hurricane coming. They've only been talking about it for a friggin' month. But would love to hear from you, Tolos, what you saw, what kind of issues you had to deal with. I don't know if this happened here, Cole, but I've heard about the exploding trees.
Yeah, I saw them on TikTok.
You see them on the internet. I've never actually seen one happen. But
are they
apparently
real?
the sap or the liquid inside the tree, the water inside the tree can get so cold that the outer shell of the tree can't hold it anymore with the expansion of the water into ice, and the tree just goes boom, just busts wide open.
What's weird about it though is why am I just now hearing about that though? I've never heard about that.
Well, if a tree explodes in the woods and no one's around to hear it,
I guess, yeah.
You see the pictures, you're like, something did that. It wasn't like a monster didn't come through and scratch his ass against the tree.
I did see that. I don't know if it's true. I've never seen it happen, but again, I drove in today from Boiling Springs. You drove from Greenville, so the roads where we came in were not bad. Again, we're not advocating for you to go out and get on the roads. We're just saying the roads are not bad if you do have to travel. Most of them are pretty passable. I'm sure there are some rural spots.
You live on a back road.
Yeah, out where Lonzo lives or whatever, or wherever he lives. I get it. But there's no reason to panic. There's no reason to, unless you want to get a few days off of work. But, hey, we're the only ones in the building right now as far as on-air hosts go. So
I think it's you, me, and the producer from WORD. We're the only ones here.
It's
everybody
unbelievable.
Everybody else is sheltering in place.
I will say this. Sunday morning when you woke up, Diesel, it was pretty to look at. I do enjoy, looking at it. I wish it was more snow and, not just ice. I don't know. I did hear a couple people say we got more sleet than freezing rain, I think is what they said, which is a good thing. And I don't know how all that stuff works. But
well, you took a meteorology class. You should know.
And I didn't pay attention.
Well, freezing rain, it gets everything wet and it freezes and then it just continues to accumulate. That's when tree branches snap off. Well, I kept saying this thing all weekend long that a half an inch of ice on a power line adds 500 pounds to a power line, which it's scary stuff. That's why power lines go down or a tree limb snaps and takes a thing down.
Yeah. We got I'll tell you this. We got fortunate that a lot of the ice did not accumulate in the treetops. For whatever reason, whether it was freezing rain or sleet, a lot of the treetops that I saw, Diesel, even on Sunday, the treetops weren't bad. That's what you worry about. The treetops snapping, falling on the power lines, sagging power lines. I didn't see any of that. So I think for the most part, we were very, very fortunate here in the upstate.
A buddy of mine who is an EMT down in the Lawrence area just messaged me and says he worked all weekend. He said it was pretty slick on Saturday. Only wrecks they had were people driving fast, but the majority were people just screwing around. A couple of people were doing donuts in a parking lot, and one of them flipped their car over.
Well, that's the thing. If you're going to drive in it, like I drove in it yesterday morning, you have to drive slow because if you drive fast, you have no way of stopping. And then if you brake, you're not going to be able to control your car. Braking's the worst because then you start swerving, left and right. So if you had to drive in it, I hope you did drive slow. But to his point, I also saw yesterday was, hey, let's get out the ATV day, right? And let's go get out the truck day and just do donuts and all kind of crazy stuff. So unfortunately, there are those people out there. But
Keith and TR messages in on the text line, says, my job freaked out and closed early Saturday, yesterday, and today. Keith, are they hiring? Because
who said that, Keith?
Keith. I'd like to have 3 days off in TR.
Yeah, no kidding.
That'd be real nice.
Billy on Facebook says, first time on the stream, normally listen on 97.1 every afternoon. Love the show, FSU fan, but love the teams and content y'all cover. Billy, appreciate that.
That's not the Billy that came out to see us on Wednesday at our live show.
It's different Billy.
Different Billy.
Different Billy.
I'll shout out to that Billy as well. That Billy's in Greer.
We probably have a lot of Tolos today that are not listening on the traditional radio, 97.1 Spartanburg, 97.7 Greenville, and 101.5 Anderson, because based on the roads that I saw coming here, everybody's at home.
You must be listening on your weather radios or something.
Yeah. Look, hey, Odyssey app, you've got the TuneIn app, the iHeartRadio app. You can even tell your Alexa to play the Fan Upstate. You can put us on your smart TV via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, so many ways. So no excuses, even though you're not out and about driving around.
Meanwhile, you see videos from like up north, and there's people driving through blizzards in rear-wheel drive cars like it's no big deal.
But the difference is they don't a buddy of mine told me this over the weekend. He lives here now. He said the difference isn't up north. We didn't get ice. He said that's the difference. He said everybody talks about, we're used to it up north. He said, Cole, I lived up north for 30 years. We never got ice. He said it's all snow. And he said there's a difference. And he said the problem is the southern states are on that, that weird line diesel where the temperatures aren't cold enough for it to be snow, or whatever reason it's not snow. And he said we never got ice. I think he lived in Michigan. And he said we never got ice up there. Okay. So the snow easier to drive on, obviously 4-wheel drive helps, but ice, it's hard to drive on.
But you also don't see photos and videos of like 30 car pileups in Atlanta, right? That stuff happens up in Michigan and Wisconsin and Iowa all the time. We don't really get those here, I guess, because people may hopefully take it a little bit more seriously. Cole, I'm going to throw a crazy stat at you to get back to the NFL here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Again, available always on the free Odyssey app. You can go back and podcast the show whenever you want. There are 5 schools, and there could be 6 if things play out correctly in this year's Super Bowl, that have produced both a U.S. president and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. And if the Patriots win the Super Bowl this year, that would be 6 schools that have produced both a U.S. president and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. So I want to play a little game here with you, Cole.
That's crazy, by the way. Yeah,
I'm going to test you. By the way, the schools are the University of Delaware, Miami of Ohio, Michigan, Stanford, Navy, and potentially North Carolina if Drake May and the Patriots win. So I'm going to play a little game here, Cole.
Okay.
And I want to see if you can guess the sequence number that a president was in office. So like George Washington's the first president, Donald Trump's the 45th and the 47th president. And I want to see if you can guess where they were in the presidential sequence. I'm going to write it down, see where you were, plus or minus. And then I'm going to
be so bad at this.
I'm going to also see if you can tell me when these quarterbacks won their first Super Bowl based on what Super Bowl number it is.
Oh, dear God. I'm not going to get any of these. None.
The goal is to sit at a net zero, so you be the same above and same below.
I'm Googling what year Super Bowl is this year's, because I don't even know.
Well, don't Google it because that might be
should
one
know
of the
that,
answers.
though. Well, this year's Super Bowl?
That might be one of the questions.
This year's Super Bowl?
You don't know what year is?
No.
Don't look it up, okay? Don't look it up. Don't cheat. Okay, so here we go.
God.
With the game show. Cole, do you have do me a favor, scroll off of the rundown, if you don't mind, or click away from the rundown. Let me know when you've done that.
Oh, you mean go on a different page?
Because the answers are on the rundown.
I'm on a different page now.
Okay, there you go. Let's go, Cole. Let's start with the presidents who have come from these schools. And again, Joe Biden went to Delaware. William Henry Harrison went to Miami of Ohio. Gerald Ford, an alum of Michigan. Herbert Hoover, an alum of Stanford.
Wow.
Jimmy Carter went to Navy. And James K. Polk went to North Carolina. So, what is your guess, Cole, as to what number president Joe Biden was?
What number president? Well, that's easy because Trump was 45, Biden was 46, Trump was 47, right?
Mhm.
So that's what you're asking.
Yep.
He was the 46th president.
There you go. There you go.
Okay,
You're
got
dead
that one
on.
right.
Ding, ding, ding.
Can we end the game?
No. If you
And I did know that he was. I didn't know if he went to Delaware. I knew that Biden was from Delaware. So that I believe it or not, I did know
Okay.
that. All right, 1-0. Let's see.
There you go.
I don't think this
that
will
might be
last
the
long.
only
Yeah.
easy one in the bunch here. Cole, what number of president was William Henry Harrison, who is a graduate of the University of Miami of Ohio? William Henry Harrison.
William Henry Harrison. That was like what, 14 BC? God,
It was fairly early.
I was gonna
I'll
say
give you a hint. It was fairly early.
I was gonna guess early. My presidential history is not great. I'll
Okay.
guess we're at 47 now. I will guess 10. 10.
You were close because he was the 9th president
okay.
of the
okay.
United States.
Do I
now
get any points for being
you're
close?
You're plus one.
Horseshoes?
Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do a little plus minus game,
Oh,
and
okay.
if you get one dead on,
Yeah.
you get 2 points in the direction that serves you the best.
So
you're-
Harrison was the, what'd you say?
he was the 9th president.
Ninth president.
So you got a plus one on that one. What
do
president?
you know what year that was?
Um,
God, I'm sorry. I
I'm
didn't-
gonna guess and say it was around 1810
Okay.
ish. If he's the 9th president, so 9 times 4.
Holy
Bad at math here.
crap.
36 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Cole, what president was Gerald Ford, who is an alum of the University of Michigan?
Gerald Ford, Michigan
Gerald
alum.
Ford.
He's a Michigan man.
He's a Michigan man.
He's a Michigan man.
Yep.
Gerald Ford. I think he was still
The
pretty
70s.
early. Yeah, I was gonna
Right?
1970s. Is that right?
Early 70s. Yeah.
Okay, if he's in the 70s, I'm gonna guess.
He would have been after JFK.
Oh my gosh, I'm so. Oh, that's a good little hint there. If he was after JFK,
After JFK.
is he 50?
No.
No, that's way.
We're only on 47 now.
No. I didn't-
1950.
No. I'm sorry. My brain went squirrely there. You said 19. What'd you say?
He was his president in the 70s. And we're on 47
We're on
now.
47 now.
Take a guess.
I'm gonna guess 30.
He was the 38th president.
38.
So you're minus 8 for Gerald Ford.
Oh God.
All right, let's go with,
38.
let's move on
Or
to
minus 8.
an
Okay.
alum of Stanford, Herbert Hoover.
I'm all discombobulated.
Herbert
Sorry.
Hoover.
Hoover.
Hoover was a post-World War II, by the way.
What was the last one? What year? Or what president? What number? What?
Ford was 38
and
in the 70s.
Hoover was an old one.
Yep.
He's an old guy. I mean, he was,
Yeah.
old president. I'm going to go 25.
He was the 31st president, so you got a minus 6.
Okay, I feel like I'm playing Battleship now.
Yeah.
Trying to. He was the
31st
president of the United
31st.
States.
Next is Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter went to the U.S. Naval Academy. Jimmy
Carter.
was what president? What number?
Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter. I mean, that's pretty. I say pretty recent.
Yep.
More recent than the ones we talked about, right?
Late 70s. Also, give you a little hint there. Late,
Late
70s.
And Donald Trump was the 45th, his first. Biden was the 40th. I'm going to guess. Ooh, this is going to be. Obama was in for 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do bad math. 36.
He was the 39th.
39.
president.
Okay.
So you are minus 3 on Jimmy Carter.
Ah.
And finally, Cole, the very last one. This is the alum of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, James K. Polk.
Never heard of him.
Yes, you have. Come on. Did you not pay attention in social
No.
studies class?
Who was the very first guy on the list?
Joe Biden?
No. The one that was really, really early on.
Oh, that was William Henry Harrison.
Okay, and this guy
James K. Polk.
Polk. I'm going to say around the same time. Can you give me what the answer was for Harrison?
Harrison was the 9th president.
Okay, I'm going to say. I'll say 10th.
Okay.
10th president.
He was the 11th president. So you get a minus 1. You're doing well. All right. So we have a guest coming on in the very next segment. Cole, would you rather hit pause on this or run through it quickly?
We can run through it. Grayson can wait. Grayson can wait. He can wait. He's
Okay.
good.
This should be easier for you, Cole.
Oh, thank God.
We're going to pretend, for the sake of having it be 6 presidents, 6 Super Bowl winners, that Drake May is going to win a Super Bowl here. Okay.
Yeah.
What Super Bowl did Joe Flacco win? And if
what
we're
number
going to go with
Super Bowl?
their first Super Bowl win. Some of these guys won multiple Super Bowls, and those that did, what was their first Super Bowl win? Joe Flacco.
45.
It was 47.
Oh,
so there you go. You got a -2
40,
on
47.
that one.
Joe Flacco. Well, the Ravens, he won 47.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the one where the power? I think that was the one where the power went out.
Is it?
Yeah, the Super Bowl. I think so.
Hey, you're a better historian than I am.
No.
What Super Bowl did Ben Roethlisberger win for the first one?
Oh, Big Ben. Before Flacco, I know that for a fact. Big Ben, I think it was pretty early when Big Ben won it.
Mm-hmm.
If Flacco was 47, I'll say Big Ben was. I'm going to go 40.
Bingo.
Was that right?
Dead on.
Yes.
Dead on. Super Bowl 40.
Wow. I got luck. That's a luck.
This is one of those games, Cole, that makes you say, "Oh my God, that was that long ago."
When
that actually happened.
I got lucky on that.
We know that. By the way, Ben Roethlisberger went to Miami of Ohio.
He did. That's right. Yeah.
Along with he went to Miami of Ohio with William Henry Harrison. Not together, not at the same time, but they both went there. Michigan, Gerald Ford and Tom Brady. What was Tom Brady's first Super Bowl win?
Oh God.
I know that Grayson Mann would know the answer to this question.
Tom's first. So Roethlisberger, we just said won it. What was the answer to the previous question? What was the Super Bowl?
Roethlisberger was Super Bowl 40, his first one.
His first one. Brady won it before that. I do know that. So it wasn't long before. Oh gosh. It was just 2 or 3 years. I'm gonna say 3 years before.
So
it was 3 years before
37.
37.
You're very close because Tom Brady's first Super Bowl win was Super Bowl 36.
It's 4 years?
Yep.
Wow.
So you get a +1 for that.
I didn't realize that. Okay.
Next one, Cole. John Elway won a Super Bowl, and he was a graduate of Stanford. When was John Elway's first Super Bowl?
Broncos, right? Oh my God. I'm going to say it was Super Bowl. John Elway. I'm going to guess. Go back. Brady was what? First 36?
His first one was Super Bowl 36.
Oh, God. And John Elway had to be 29.
He was 32. Super Bowl 32.
So Elway was only
won.
4 years before Brady's first?
Yep.
Oh, my God.
All right.
That's insane.
Next one up is also a Stanford alum, by the way. Jim Plunkett. You've probably never heard of. Jim Plunkett.
I know the name.
Won a Super Bowl. And what Super Bowl was that?
It was early. Like real early. Like probably 10. 10. I'm just going to guess 10.
Well, you're not far off. He won Super Bowl 15.
Oh, wow.
Super Bowl 15.
I knew it was early. I didn't realize it was 15, though.
Next is one that I know you know very, very well, Roger Staubach.
Oh, that was
his first one was Super Bowl what?
Oh, boy. His first Super Bowl Staubach. It was like one of the first ones. I'm going to say it was 4. Super Bowl 4.
His first one was Super Bowl 6.
Okay,
Real
so
close.
2 off.
Real close.
I knew it was one of in the first few years.
And finally, here we go, Cole. This one is still up in the air. We don't know if it's going to happen or not, but if Drake May wins this Super Bowl, it will be Super Bowl what?
Is this 60?
I think tell me the answer.
I think so because well, here's the problem. For whatever reason, we do Roman numerals. Why do we use Roman numerals for? I think it's 60.
It's Super Bowl 60. We got Super Bowl 60 coming up.
I think I've heard of making a big deal of 60.
You hit. Let's see. You hit 2 of these dead on. Exactly.
I'm shocked.
So we're gonna do the math on this. We're gonna get off the air here and make way for our next caller, Grayson Mann.
Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. On the other side, we'll talk Dabo. We'll talk New England Patriots. Who knows what else? But Grayson Mann will join us.
Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Talking Clemson and who knows what else with Grayson Mann of TigerNet.com, who joins us on the stream. I know a lot of you watching on the stream today because you're not driving around the upstate listening on 97.1 Spartanburg or 97.7 Greenville or 101.5 Anderson like you normally would be. So you're watching from the comfort of your home. Hope you are safe. Grayson Mann, how old are you?
I'm 24.
You're 24. I'm 29. I want to know, what does it feel like, because I have never experienced it, what does it feel like for your team to be playing in the Super Bowl?
Feels great. It feels like a return to normalcy from my childhood. But
no, you are bandwagon.
What do you? I had family growing up in Boston, Cole. We've been through this song and dance before. Should have hit the red button.
I am jealous. I mean, how literally on a scale of 1 to 10, like 11, 12, 13?
Yes. I'm so happy, man. It was, I know people moan and groan when you say it, but anytime you go through a rebuild, your team's legitimately terrible, one of the worst in the league after this ending of the Belichick saga to Gerard Mayo. I think I had said on air with you guys that I was hoping for maybe 8 or 9 wins this year and to quadruple and then some, the win total from last year. It's remarkable. It's one of the greatest turnarounds in NFL history, and I'm hoping to see that through with a Super Bowl championship here in 2 weeks.
Grayson, we had some fun in the last segment that if Drake May and these Patriots win the Super Bowl, that'll make the 6th school that has produced both a U.S. president and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You cover Clemson. You're a Clemson alum. The question is, will Clemson produce a U.S. president or a Super Bowl winning quarterback first?
I would say right now it looks like Trevor Lawrence could be a potential candidate for a Super Bowl with the way Jacksonville's building their franchise back up. Felt like they were probably one of the better teams in the AFC this year and certainly would have given New England problems had they beaten Buffalo in that wild card game. So I think Trevor's got a good shot here. Liam Cohen's a superstar.
Ask him who was the president. So if Drake May wins, and he'll be the 6th, is that right?
Yes, technically he'll make the 7th because Stanford produced 2.
Oh, okay.
Stanford produced both John Elway and Jim Plunkett, 2 Super Bowl winning.
So the president that would be correlated with Drake May, Grayson, would be who?
I think I saw this tweet earlier, so this isn't going to be some wild guess on my part. I think it was read that was like James Polk or something was the
is that right?
James
the name.
J. Polk.
Polk. Okay.
I
didn't want to be dishonest and to be like, yeah, let me think for a second. How about this guy?
Let me think. How about James Polk? Grayson, what was your it would be. What was your immediate reaction Friday? You were in the room. Dabo Sweeney had a lot to say about the entire Luke Farrelly situation. Diesel and I talked about it in the very last hour. Now that you've had a couple of days to kind of chew on it, what are your immediate thoughts?
The overwhelming support outside of the Clemson sphere has been pretty remarkable, I would say, is that there's a lot of fans. And I think that you've heard around, just Pete Thamel was on McAfee earlier saying that even coaches across the country are applauding Sweeney for being one of the few that I think would be able to stand up and say, this is ridiculous what's happening. Because a lot of people, you look in their backyards, there's dog crap, there's a lot of stuff you don't want in there. There's dirty laundry. I think Sweeney's backyard's pretty clean. And so there's the rare opportunity to be able to come out and say, this is what's happening. It's hypocrisy on Ole Miss's part. And we had gotten word that this was going to be an explosive presser, but I had this feeling in the back of my mind that Sweeney would address it and then say, yeah, it happened. We can't do much about it. We're going to move on. But no, he pulled out this big binder like he was a court prosecutor and went through the timeline and delivered a guilty verdict. It was as explosive as you could hope for. And I think that a few years from now, we're going to be looking at that presser as the moment where college football started to change for the better.
Yeah, but who are those coaches who Dabo referenced that supposedly reached out to him and said, this, and this is going on in my programs. I've seen this. I've had this happen to me. So far, it's been 3 days, 4 days, and not one of them, as far as I know, has come out and said, yep, I'm one of the ones that Dabo was talking about. I've seen this happen at my program. I mean, so far, it seems like all of those coaches are willing to have that conversation with Dabo behind closed doors, but not one of them has been willing to step out into the light and say, yes, I'm a whistleblower too. This is what I saw at my program. To me, I mean, Dabo used the word hypocrisy. That sounds like a lot of hypocrisy to me too. If it's so-and-so at Wake Forest or so-and-so at North Carolina, they saw this. Why won't they step out and add to the voices that are willing to call this out?
Because I would like to bet that a lot of them probably have either, maybe it's not them, but maybe a staffer that's done some underhanded stuff that the other team can then pull around and say, well, you were doing this the whole time. And this is kind of the situation with Ole Miss, LSU, and Clemson, where Ole Miss was fighting its own battles, and then over to the side, they're doing this thing with Luke Farrelly. I would be shocked. I think that Duke would have a great cause to come out and say, hey, look what's happening with Darian Mensah in Miami. We had gotten word that Miami was tampering with Jeremiah Smith, offering him a ridiculous sum of money to enter the portal and then head over to be a Hurricane. So there's certainly places across the country that could be a candidate, but I would be willing to bet that a lot of these schools and coaches aren't really able to have the moral high ground that Sweeney so-called has right now, just because of the way college football certainly operates.
Grayson, you said a minute ago that one day, hopefully, we'll look back on this as maybe a turning point where the sport got better. How does that happen?
I think it starts with the NCAA, and there's the one hope that I think I always have for college football, and you can't really do this right now because you have commissioners across each conference with their own acting interests. They're trying to protect their brand. Greg Sankey and Jim Phillips aren't exactly going to get along on the structure of college football, because one guy's looking at it through the lens of the ACC, which has always been looking to step back into the spotlight of football. Miami certainly helped with that. And Greg Sankey, who the SEC has always been this big dog. And so those two collaborating never is going to work or make sense. I think the first step is you finding a person with a very neutral set of viewpoints on college football. And I know we joke about it. We need a commissioner of college football. We need somebody with a singular voice that can keep the conferences in line. It'd be like if we had an AFC commissioner and an NFC commissioner in the NFL overruling Roger Goodell on all these things that he's trying to implement with the league. You need a singular voice and a vision. And I think that's the first step, because clearly what's happening with the NCAA right now is there's no commanding voice and there's no consequences for, yeah, sure, Clemson can call out Ole Miss all he wants, but is there going to be any voice that then says we're going to investigate this and we're going to lay down punishment against Pete Golding? As far as we know, there's none happening right now.
But Grayson, you think those conference commissioners are going to be okay giving up power to somebody else?
That's where I call it wishful thinking. It's one thing that I think would make the most sense, but at the same time, it would be asking these commissioners to give up a lot of power. I mean, they're the ones dictating the seats at the table for the college football playoff right now. So you have to find a way to have your cake and eat it too, and try to find a way to keep these people happy. But it's a broken system right now. And so all we really have are ideas. But if you want to find a way to unify and structure this, you need a singular vision and you need a singular voice.
Grayson, can this be a turning point? You used his word earlier. Can this be a turning point without the transparency of other coaches stepping up and saying, this is what I'm seeing?
I think yes and no. I think it's going to require more stories, but I do feel like, and you both can agree or disagree, I think we all knew that this was kind of happening behind the scenes, but this is the first time that it's been publicly stated out loud, which I think was the more shocking part of it. Was not what was happening, it was that it's finally, the quiet part was being said out loud. We all know, I mean, even before NIL, there were McDonald's bags being handed out to recruits to come to certain schools. This has been going on for ages. It's just a matter of how much it's no longer, I think Ed Orgeron was the one who said it, it's no longer being done to the back door, it's being done to the front door, of how easy it is to get these things rolling. So the fact that it's public and that you have a school that's kind of under the microscope now, you have texts between a head coach and a player that was enrolled, signed a financial aid agreement, was living in an apartment on campus, as enrolled as you can be, and having this situation happen. And then allegedly NFL quarterbacks like Jackson Dart are calling up this kid and saying, hey, you need to get out of there. It's just shocking to be able to hear that in a public setting. And so the way it's driven national conversation, I think, is certainly encouraging.
Grayson, we had this conversation last week, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Maybe it was off air, but, you know, it's like the one friend that is in your friend group that drives really, really slow, And every time you go somewhere, everybody's complaining about his slow driving, right? And then you finally get him to break the speed limit, and he does, and he gets a speeding ticket. So now he's done. He's not driving slow anymore, or he's not going to drive fast again anymore. I'm not suggesting that Dabo Swinney is going to just decide to retire at the end of the year, but do you feel like what Dabo's experienced, and he finally went full portal and finally asked what fans wanted them to do, and then this happens, do you think that kind of, changes his mind on if he wants to be in the game long term?
I think there's part of him that's incredibly frustrated. And this is just me speculating off of what we were able to feel in that press conference. I mean, you could feel the anger and the anticipation to be able to get this out and be able to finally talk about it. And you could tell, and he acknowledged as well, as to how straining that week was to constantly have portal kids in, having to basically force these kids to make these quick decisions. Either we need to find out if you're in or not so we can go get the next guy, or you're either in and we can move on. And so just the continuous roller coaster of affairs that they had to deal with for the last week. This is the first time he's really had to do this. And he said it himself. We've done these one-off things before, but this was a little different. We had double-digit signees, and so it's a lot of kids. So part of me feels like he's like, man, I'm finally playing along, and this happens, which I think adds to the frustration of the Ferrelli situation. I think if he had been diving into the portal every single year and had 10 plus signees, this wouldn't be as big of a deal. But for someone who's been such set in his ways, whatever the narrative may be, for this to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of frustration. But also part of me felt resolve from him, is that I'm going to stick through this and try to maybe be the guy on the other side of this that is about the kids and is about the education and all the stuff that he claims college football is supposed to be about. So I doubt he would suddenly, this is the move that makes him retire. But I do feel a frustration from him, and we'll see how that plays out.
Talking to Grayson, Mann of TigerNet, what are your thoughts on, and do you know who changed Luke Ferrelli's bio on Clemson's website to give a timeline of these events? Because that is a level of petty that, professional outlets like official websites don't typically stoop to. Who is involved with doing that? Is it, essentially, has it been approved? Is it still there? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I got to give credit to John Blau of the Post and Courier for reporting that, because I wouldn't even think to check that, but to just have the foresight to go, let me go see what's going on with Luke Ferrelli's Clemson bio, which is just a nice piece in history because it's going to be there forever, but it's going to be the 1 week Ferrelli was a Tiger. And to have somebody get in there and post the timeline, I don't know if that was approved or not. I don't know who did it, but bravo, kudos. That's hilarious. And I wonder if Dabo said, yeah, keep that out there. Let's make sure this doesn't all of a sudden go away. And so anyone who's curious, they'll see Luke Ferrelli. They're going to see a link on Google that says Clemson. They'll go, that's strange. I don't remember that. And then you'll see a press conference alleging the public tampering that happened. I thought it was an epic move. So shout out to John, certainly, for finding that. That was a great read this morning.
Grayson, do you believe the evidence, we talked about it earlier, the smoking gun, the evidence that the NCAA has, do you think anything will actually come out from this against Pete Golding and Ole Miss?
I'm not sure. It's tough to gauge it right now. I do believe Clemson did everything methodically. Swinney was very detailed and I joked earlier, he read it like a court prosecutor. He had dates, he had timeline, like everything seemed very methodical. So I would believe everything
like the Murdaugh trial.
Yeah, it was something else to see it kind of all laid out. It's like I was watching a Netflix true crime special unfold. So if the NCAA were to do something, I mean, even with the Michigan Harbaugh stuff, the self-imposed suspension, maybe Pete Golding gets suspended for whatever junior college they play as their cupcake game of the schedule. That wouldn't surprise me as hey, we did something. But overall, there's nothing really enforceable to punish. I mean, if there were different rules, maybe, with the NFL, when the Falcons, I think it was the tampering with Kirk Cousins, they took away draft picks. Do you take away NIL dollars? Do you take away scholarships? That's the next step in this, is figuring out what's punishable and how much you punish based on the level of tampering. Seems like Ole Miss did a lot here. So I don't know what constitutes what, but I wouldn't expect a serious punishment on Ole Miss's part.
Dabo equated it to having an affair with somebody while you're on your honeymoon. If we wanted to compare this to a situation that we just went through with Michigan and Sharon Moore, it would be like Michigan fans saying it's okay that Sharon Moore did everything he did because look at that staffer. She's really attractive. And wouldn't you do the same thing? You know, it's funny. We used to celebrate programs and coaches getting busted for doing things they're not supposed to do. Now it seems we celebrate programs for getting away with it because there's nobody there to stop them. Are you surprised by the Ole Miss fans? And I'm sure you had a lot of them in your mentions over the weekend, as I did, with them essentially saying, well, what are you going to do? Like this is college football. This is how it's played. This doesn't have to be how it's played. And they're certainly, I guess, entitled to be tribal that it's their school that's doing it, that got the player. So it's justifiable. Were you shocked by any of that?
I think tribal's the right word here, because what if the shoe's on the other foot? We don't know how Clemson fans would react, and I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouths. But certainly there was an aspect of this is our guy. We're going to protect him. And I think Ole Miss fans, this is a sense where they've gotten this trip to the playoffs. They got a guy like Pete Golding who stuck with them after the Lane Kiffin saga. So I think there's more of an emotional attachment here where he is their guy that didn't leave him. And so however he gets the job done is however he gets the job done. And since there's no punishment in sight, where Ole Miss fans, let's say they knew if Golding got caught, there was going to be NIL dollars stripped in this, maybe the reaction's a little different as to, coach, come on, like we got a lot on the line here. Doesn't look like there's going to be much of a repercussion other than the court of public opinion with Ole Miss. So their fans don't surprise me. That's not an indictment on them. That's just them protecting their coach. And this is what college football is now. So whether it's right or wrong, that's just what they're going to do and how they're going to operate.
Grayson, my last question for you on the basketball side of things, a big bounce back win, 77-63 for Brad Brownell and those guys against Georgia Tech before they have an entire week off. They did have the tough loss on Tuesday against NC State in overtime, but 9 out of 10, is that right? Or 10 out of 11 now that you've won if you're Clemson? Do you see anything that you look at with this Clemson basketball team and feel like they are going to have to improve on, or is this a really formidable team in your mind?
I think they're a really formidable squad with also the acknowledgement that it's not a perfect group, but there's a way that they win. And for Clemson, I think the one thing that you have to keep an eye out for, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this squad play Duke for the specific reason, is when you meet a team like North Carolina State, where it hasn't been the best for Will Wade so far, but the ability to switch from 1 to 5 and to be able to attack Clemson as a smaller lineup, particularly at the guard spot, I think that's going to be a point of emphasis. And so when I look at this Duke team, they can shoot 1 through 5. They can switch every defender. That's going to be a big challenge for Clemson, but there's a methodical bruising to this Tiger team that feels very Brownellish. And also one other point, I think the 3-point shooting hasn't been great for this team this year. It was kind of a mixed bag against Georgia Tech, but when they can shoot maybe slightly average from beyond the arc, this team is particularly unstoppable with the way they've been playing so far. So improve a little bit of shooting and get some size here or there. I think this Clemson team is going to be playing in March and maybe has an opportunity, depending on the bracket, to make a run. I truly believe that.
Grayson, anything really fascinating now that we're inside the 2-week mark for both of these programs with Clemson baseball or softball that you're seeing right now?
Just getting ready to rock and roll here in a few weeks. I think for Clemson baseball, the shift in tone from the Omaha talk and the hats, you had the messaging just about everywhere, and you kind of felt the sense that Clemson fans were tired of talking about it. Well, so is Bakich in this group, and they've really kind of stripped that away and say, we're just going to go talk. Instead of talking about it, we got to be about it, and that means we got to go win some games. And I think that did some good graces here with the fan base. And as I was told, it's a deeper pitching staff, and maybe the offense won't be as good because you lose a generational guy like Canarella. But overall, this team should be a threat to compete in the postseason.
Grayson, you're the best. As always, appreciate the heck out of you, man.
I appreciate you guys opening up with a Patriots question. Way to cater to the guests. Like, that makes me feel good.
We always do. We always do. That's Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. Really good stuff. If you missed it, you can go back and find it on the free Odyssey app, Diesel.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to butter people up, Grayson, not the most loquacious person, but you get him smiling, you get him having a good time, and he opens up with the big answers. So appreciate it, Grayson, man. When we come back, our Daily Wires, that's next. We're going to have to fly through these. These are our daily wires, the buzz happening around the sports world. The Super Bowl is now set. The Patriots will face the Seahawks. Seahawks opened as a 4.5-point favorite over Grayson Mann's New England Patriots. The New York Giants are hiring Denard Wilson as their defensive coordinator. They're also expected to hire former Ravens special teams coordinator Chris Horton for the same role on Coach John Harbaugh's staff. New Year, same Scotty Scheffler, the world's number one player, came to the California desert and staked his claim as one of the best golfers in the world. He was absolutely crushing it Sunday in the American Express. He made a birdie on half of his holes, going from a 2-shot deficit early to a lead that stretched to 6 shots before he closed with a 6 under 66 and a 4-shot win.
How about Blades Brown, though, man? Like, that kid was phenomenal. 18 years old, tied for first going into Sunday, and him and Scotty were not paired up together. But Blades Brown, 18 years old, making a huge statement. And
a phenomenal name, too.
Hats off to the name. Yep. Blades Brown, are you kidding me? So, love the name, but it's hard to beat Scotty.
The ACC championship game is moving, Cole, to noon on ABC.
Yeah.
The game has traditionally been a night game, but was played at 4 p.m. in 2020. They played in the 1 o'clock slot in 2006, 7, and 2008. Well, they are moving essentially to not be programmed opposite of the Big Ten championship game.
Good move. The ACC sucks. It shouldn't have the nightcap. And also tonight at 6 o'clock, the ACC will release this year's football schedules for all of the members. So.
Clemson men's basketball beat Georgia Tech on Saturday, 77-63. The Tigers are now 17-4 overall, 7-1 in ACC play. The Tigers will play again on Saturday against Pitt. Furman men's basketball bounced back after a 2-game skid with an 89-66 win over UNC Greensboro. Furman is now 14-7 on the season. Alex Wilkins led Furman with 27 points in that game.
Okay.
Just one game after beating Furman, by the way, the Citadel fell to ETSU 84-55, which makes that loss for Furman against them a little more of a head scratcher.
SoCon's weird right now, man.
It is.
I went to the Wofford game Saturday, and, hey, Mercer was favored to beat Wofford. Wofford beat them. I mean, it's a weird SoCon this year.
The word wide open means nobody is really all that good.
Yeah.
South Carolina men's basketball lost to Texas A&M on Saturday, 92-69. Gamecocks are now 11-9 on the season, 2-5 in conference play. Oof, Cole, it seems like they are real close to falling below 500.
And it's going to, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
like
they played Florida, and Florida's really good.
Playing really good right now, so sorry.
Reports are that Phillip Rivers has withdrawn his name from the Buffalo Bills coaching search. He interviewed for the job on Friday in Florida. Why is Phillip Rivers even a candidate for this job? He's never coached a collegiate or professional game.
No idea.
He's coached high school football, and they were looking at him as an NFL head coaching candidate. Unbelievable. If you're a Florida Gators fan, Cole, I don't know if you love this or if you're scratching your head at this, but John Summerall says that he will not allow Florida players to bear the Gators logo because they haven't earned it yet. All they have is their name.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Freaking love it. You've got to earn it. Got to earn it. I love that.
Controversial Alabama basketball player Charles Bediako, who had signed with an NBA G League team before being granted permission to play in college again, finished with 13 points and 3 rebounds in 25 minutes in a 79-73 loss to Tennessee. Winners of 2 straight, the 18-28 Hornets are at home tonight against the 24-20 Philadelphia 76ers. This is huge news, Cole. I know Dan B is going to be all over this. The Oscar Mayer Weenie 500, a pre-Indy 500 event featuring tricked-out Wienermobiles, is set to return on May 22nd ahead of the 110th Indy 500.
Wow.
Last year's event drew 85,000 spectators and 8 million live stream viewers.
Look at wieners.
To look at wieners going fast.
That's insane.
How about that? And last one here for you, Cole. Actor Quentin Aaron, known for his role as Michael Orr in The Blind Side, has been hospitalized in Atlanta due to a severe blood infection. He's currently on life support. His manager stated that his condition is stable and that he is communicating with others.
That's terrible to hear. I really hate that. Diesel, it's time for you and I to overreact. In the very next segment, we overreact about sports, non-sports, whatever it is. We overreact in the very next segment on Mondays at 5 p.m. And Tolos, you are welcome to overreact as well. 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-326-3663. That's next. I just think, Diesel, I just believe in my heart of hearts that the NFL general managers, directors of player personnel, and owners have gotten it wrong for a long, long time. And this weekend proved that. What am I talking about? Sam Darnold and Drake May are playing in the Super Bowl. Am I saying that neither one of those quarterbacks are good quarterbacks and deserve to be there? No, I'm not. But my overreaction on this Overreaction Monday is that all of these GMs have gotten it wrong in believing that it's all about a quarterback. Sam Darnold's a really good quarterback. He's not Tom Brady. Drake May's a really good quarterback. He's not Lamar Jackson. He's not Aaron Rodgers. I am overreacting, or am I? That's up for you to decide, Diesel and the Tolos, and saying that the NFL general managers and all these people who decide and build rosters focus so much on a quarterback. We talked about it with the Carolina Panthers. Instead of doing what Seattle did and just building a really solid roster, and then, oh, hey, here's that Sam Darnold guy. Let's go get him in free agency. And he takes you to a Super Bowl? Is that an overreaction?
No, it's not an overreaction. I mean, is it shocking to say that one elite but still very, very raw young quarterback, and I'm being general here, is going to take you to the Super Bowl? Probably not. Probably not, right? I mean, like Caleb Williams was very good this year.
Really good.
Finally pair him with a good offensive coordinator / head coach, and all of a sudden he maximizes what you can get out of Drake May. Not Drake May, but Caleb Williams. The rest of the team around him, though, very, very good. And that's what happens when you pair a young quarterback with a very good roster. All of a sudden, you're purpose-built, ready to go.
And it
happened with Sam Darnold, not a young quarterback, but you pair him with a really good roster. All of a sudden, that guy's skills that got him drafted early for a reason can finally shine.
And Diesel, that's my hope for a team like Carolina, for a franchise like Carolina, that Dan Morgan understands that, yeah, we got to have a quarterback. We just talked to him, last week?
Yeah.
We got to have a quarterback, but we've got to have a really good roster. And then we can go and find the quarterback that can also be good and go take us to where we want to be. I don't know. Maybe that is an overreaction. Maybe it's not. 844-FAN phone. It is Overreaction Monday. 844-326-3663. Phone lines are open. You can overreact about anything you want. Weather, snow, ice, sports, whatever you want it to be. And we would love to hear from you again at 844-326-3663. That's mine. I pray that franchises look at this year's Super Bowl, Diesel, as maybe we can do things differently. And I really hope that for Carolina.
Well, I really want Dan Morgan and Dave Canales essentially to lie to Bryce Young's face. I want them to tell him, yeah, you're our guy, Bryce. You're going to be here for a long time, Bryce. We're going to build a team around you, Bryce. And then if all of a sudden, if a year from now, 2 years from now, Bryce Young is still the same, gives you 140 yards and an interception and a fumble in a game, can't stay upright, can't run very well, even though he's quick and he's small and he's nimble, but he's not getting positive yards.
Yeah.
Ditch his ass.
Yeah.
Build a great roster around him. Get some more good offensive linemen. Get another elite defender. Get another elite wide receiver. And if Bryce Young can't get it done before Ted McMillan's rookie contract comes up, before whoever that next elite wide receiver's contract comes up, before their really good rookie tight end this year's contract comes up, sit Bryce Young's ass down on a phone book so that he can see over and see what's going on in the field, but bring in an actual good, competent quarterback, and all of a sudden, boom, you're a contender because you've got a great roster that you built for Bryce.
And Diesel, I think John Lynch did that in San Francisco. I mean, you look at what quarterbacks have taken San Francisco to Super Bowls, not saying that like they're bad quarterbacks, but Brock Purdy took them to a Super Bowl, 2 years ago against the Chiefs? Brock Purdy wasn't the only good quarter. They had Jimmy Garoppolo. But my point being, John Lynch built a system in San Francisco that worked really well. They had a really good team. Now, that doesn't mean that really good quarterbacks can't come along and drag their team to the Super Bowl. I believe Joe Burrow did that, 2021 when they played the Chiefs or the Rams and Matthew Stafford won. That year, Joe Burrow had the worst offensive line in the NFL. They stunk up front. But the year before that, Diesel, Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback of a Super Bowl. Hey,
right?
Jared Goff, the year before that. You know what I mean? Like, you have the Cam Newtons of the world who takes their team there, and the Russell Wilsons. But we were talking about it earlier. Joe Flacco played in the Super Bowl. You know, Kurt Warner played. I mean, I know Kurt Warner's great. Rex Grossman played in this. My point being, I just hope teams see that Sam Darnold and the Seahawks, man, they did this the right way, I feel like.
So the question is, though, coming down the stretch there, that Cooper Kupp catch that was iffy, would you have called that a catch, or would you have called that incomplete? He's running across the middle, right to left. Darnold hits him. Yeah. He rolls, and as he's rolling, and as his, elbow, thigh, whatever, hits the ground, that ball's coming out, and that very much looked like an incompletion to me.
And there's just been so much inconsistency on what a catch is in the NFL. I mean, like, it did look like a catch, but at the same time, guess what? Dez Bryant, you know, when I cried my eyes out that year, we lost to Green Bay, when they had to literally change the rule the year after because of the Dez catch. It's just a lot of inconsistencies in the NFL officiating.
Does it feel like, you know, this concept of what a football move is? That's kind of the decision there. Yeah. And do they need to make that a time limit here? Like, you have to maintain the possession of the ball with no wobbling whatsoever for half a second, 3/4 of a second, 1.5 full seconds. What should the rule actually be? Because they need to take a subjective, what is a football move, and also they're applying it under the you know, additional rule of the ground can't cause a fumble, and they need to apply some sort of objective rule of 1.5 seconds.
And that's the problem,
is what possession means.
It kind of feels like it's all too subjective. You know,
right?
With the NFL, JB's stream, or JB on the stream says, didn't know y'all were on today because of nasty traveling conditions. We are here. What nasty traveling conditions, JB?
Those roads are dry, JB.
I drove from Bowling Springs to Gastonia back to Greenville today. Didn't have one issue. The roads are fine. He said Seahawks will win the Super Bowl. And he also says you don't have to have the superstar quarterback to get a Super Bowl. I agree with that.
But if you got a superstar-filled lineup, a pretty good quarterback can still win you one.
Dan B. What's up, Dan B? Here come the Tolos all of a sudden. Let's get your overreaction, Tolos, at 844-326-3663. Dan says, and how do you apply that half second or whatever to crossing the goal line as well? That's a good point.
Yeah.
The ball crossing the goal line.
It feels like these rules are contradictory for a reason. It feels like they're contradictory by design.
Yeah.
Cole, here's my overreaction for you on a Monday. And I know that our local stores, our Home Depots, our Aces, our Tractor Supplies, they're all being inundated today with people bringing generators back in the box because they didn't actually have to use them, which is a good thing, right? I mean, that means the power didn't go out, means you didn't have to use it. But I'm gonna lecture you here for a second. If you bought a generator to deal with this ice storm, keep it.
Yeah.
Keep it. Don't take it back to the store. It's like if you're driving through a dangerous neighborhood, Cole, would you go buy a gun, drive through the neighborhood when nothing happens? You don't take it back to the gun store and sell it back because you're safe. You hang on to it.
Do people need the money that bad?
I guess. Hang on to it. Break it in. Learn how it works. Understand that the next time something like this happens, you're good.
How much does a generator cost?
Depends on what you get.
Yeah.
You could probably get a lower end generator for somewhere around $450.
So they're pretty expensive.
You can certainly spend way more than that, like $1,000.
So you would say people that went out and bought one for this storm probably spent what on average $450, $500, something like that.
Yeah, maybe $500, $600.
So they're wanting their money back.
My brother-in-law spent $1,000.
Did he really?
Yeah,
just for this storm?
Crazy, yeah.
So people are saying, hey, look, I need the 500. Look, I'm with you. I think it's better to keep it because you never know what you can need it for, what you'll need it for one day. But I guess I also do see it from the standpoint of if it's a family that's struggling to get by or whatever, needs the money, I get it.
Hey, if all you could get is too much generator, more than what you actually need, take it back, trade it in, get something that will fit your needs and save you a little bit of money back.
JB says 600 is about that. That's a lot.
Yeah.
They're not cheap.
No, they're not. They're not. And especially if you want to get the fancy ones with the little push button starts, then they get up north of $1,000. If you want to get the ones that just click on as soon as your power goes out, those get really expensive. They can be very expensive, but what are you going to do? Buy one every time a storm is coming and then return it? Hopefully you never have to use it.
You know how people are, though. I mean, throwing them on their credit card, and, just doing whatever they can.
There is a break-in period on these things. You got to run them a little while before they, operate at full peak efficiency. And you can't do that if you're selling it back or turning it back into the store every time a storm doesn't knock your power out.
Well, Diesel, we have noticed more traffic today on the stream. You and I have, because most of our Tolos are at home today, which is a good thing. When I came here on 85, there was nobody on 85. It was a ghost town. So a large majority of you are watching the show, are listening on the app, which is great. Not as much interaction on the text line as we normally get because people aren't driving around. But Old Faithful, Tom in Somerville.
There he is.
He says, no. There's no storm here. I'm still listening. And Tom, we appreciate you. What's your overreaction on this Overreaction Monday?
My overreaction is Sean Payton probably needs to go back to coaching 101 school.
Take the points.
That was without a doubt one of the worst coach games I have seen in a long time. And that is coming from a Gamecock fan who has seen a lot of bad coaching. In the moment, I kind of understand going for it.
I do too.
But you have to also look at it big picture. The fact that they knew the weather was coming in, and I don't think anybody knew it was going to be that bad.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're starting to sit him at quarterback, you have to take the points anytime you have the opportunity to, especially in the playoffs.
Well, Tom, I'm glad you brought that up because, like you said, I was also watching that game yesterday, and I said, in the moment, I think you go for it in the moment. But now you look back, hindsight 2020, and we all say, yeah, Sean Payton should have kicked the field goal. It'd have been 10-10, right? And who knows what would have happened. I think in the moment it's easy to say, let's go for it, let's kick. But I just don't know that you had enough out of your quarterback to feel confident in getting more points throughout the day.
Right, and that's the thing is even when they chose not to kick it, you look on your Twitter and you're paying attention to the game. The national media, they blew Twitter up by saying, "Why didn't you take the points?" Yeah. And you just had that feeling that you were going to come back to that at some point. And they decided to try to take the points there in the second half. And
missed.
I don't know if there's any kicker on this planet not named Adam Vinatieri who would have made those. That was just, and you can't even blame the kickers on those because you got the wind blowing. You can't even see the goalpost. Heck, on the field, you can't even see the players because they're wearing all white, which also, guys, that 3D infrared camera might be the coolest thing they've ever done.
I liked it. And I did not think it was a good choice to wear all white, though. I will agree with you on that.
It was a little strategic. Strategic. So, but anyway, before I go, guys, just want to say everybody be safe. It's sunny and 50 degrees down here right now. But I'll tell y'all this. I watched a little bit of Gamecock baseball scrimmage footage over the weekend. Them boys can swing the bat. Hopefully they can stay healthy. But believe it or not, about 2.5 weeks away, we'll be talking some baseball.
What about the basketball team, Tom?
Yeah. Buckyball at A&M, they're in first place. They're a good basketball team. The Gamecocks, well, we are not a good basketball team. And come April, we might be having us a coach search so we can get excited about basketball in April.
Hey, Tom, does watching preseason scrimmage count as watching tape? I need to know for Madcraft.
Yeah. Have we heard from him yet?
Nope.
No.
I don't know if I'd call it watching tape, more so just being excited about the baseball team. But I guess in some ways it is a form of watching tape.
It is. Right. Tom, appreciate the phone call as always.
Y'all be safe.
You too. That's Tom in Somerville. Shane Barrett on the Joy Law Firm text line. Diesel says, I may or may not be attempting to get groceries. Like right now, is that what you mean, Shane? You usually do that before the storm comes in, but after is fine too. And I said on the text line, it better be at Ingles, right?
Yeah.
Mitchell says generators are typically $100 per 1,000 watts.
Yeah, roughly.
See, I didn't know that.
Maybe a little less than that.
So
maybe closer
depending
to
on how much power you want to pull.
Maybe closer to like $75 per 1,000 watts.
Wow, that's high.
Hey,
that's expensive.
It's peace of mind, man. The power goes out. You can make your own.
It's worth it. I never even felt like at any point this weekend, when the second part hit, yesterday, 3, like I never felt like we were going to lose power. I don't know. Maybe I was just being optimistic.
But also a tremendous amount of credit goes out to all of the line workers, because I know that in Malden over there by the old G-Brave Stadium, that was a staging area, and there were staging areas all over the place, and crews came in from all over the country to be here in case things got bad.
They did.
And they did a phenomenal job. The road clearing crews did a phenomenal job. I mean, obviously our parking lot is helped to be made clear because somebody came and scraped it, as evidenced by the big pile of snow and ice
I'll tell you this,
up against that back wall.
I was way impressed this morning, and I sent you a picture. I was on 85 around 8 a.m., and it was still early, so I was thinking might be iffy. Diesel 85 looked immaculate.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess those road crews were the big pushers. What are they called? The
plows?
Plows? Yeah.
Yeah, well, they've been salting and
Worked
scraping
all night.
for days.
Worked all night and plowed all that stuff out. I'm telling you, I mean, 85 was in really good condition. Highway 9, I get on Highway 9 for a large majority. It's the median's nasty. I guess that's how it is on most of these, like Woodruff roads and the local roads. But I think the main roads are okay, Tolos. Let us know if the back road, I would imagine, it's supposed to get down to 12 tonight. Is that right? 12 degrees. I think so.
Is tonight it gets that cold?
Tonight or tomorrow? Yeah.
Ooh, doggy.
My phone says 13 degrees tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Diesel.
Ooh, I'm seeing a low of 16 on mine.
So 14 to 16 degrees, depending on, how much stuff's on the roadway. It's going to freeze all back over.
Yeah, be careful out there. And, outside of your house, throw some snow melt or some kitty litter or whatever
that's
you got.
Cold, man.
Yeah.
14 degrees.
Tonight would be the night to drip those faucets or hold your or open up your cabinet doors and let those pipes stay a little bit warmer.
The high tomorrow is 40, so there will be more melting that happens, but it's not going to get to 40. And listen to this. Today the high got above freezing, but how quickly it's dropping back down. It's going to be, by the time you and I get off the air, it'll be 25 degrees.
Oh my!
By the time we get off the air,
can we call out now? Can we just go home?
It might be worse. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Boss, I don't know if we're going to be able to make it home at 7:00, so we might need to leave early at 6.
JB says whatever the temp is going to be, it's going to be freaking cold. You're right on that. It is brutal this time of year.
That is true. Speaking of brutal, Cole, college football fans are all over the Colorado head football coach Deion Sanders for a new list of ways to punish players and take away the one thing they care about. No, not playing time, not gear, money. We'll talk about that next. What is the one thing, Cole, that you absolutely have to have if you want to be successful in college athletics?
Cheaters.
That
Pete
could
Golding.
help. That could help. You got to have a quarterback.
Yeah.
But how do you pay for any of those things? How do you acquire any of those things? Money.
The cha-ching.
Money.
The moolah. Yeah.
Money. And, we've been hearing for a while now about the separation of the power schools with the gigantic budgets from the less powerful, i.e. less lucrative schools. And, oh boy, could it be happening in the Big Ten first, Cole? Could the Big Ten start shedding some weight when it comes to programs that just can't keep up financially? I saw this earlier today. This actually was put out about 5 hours ago from an account called @NIL, not NLI. It's hard to type that in. Be careful as you type that in. But this is eye-opening. Mm-hmm. Current Big Ten member Rutgers University, who was supposed to deliver the New York City market to the Big Ten, right? Yeah. Is $78 million in debt.
The who? The program? The football program?
The school is $78 million in debt. They characterize this by saying they are drowning, trying to maintain the look of a big-time Power 4 program. The ledger shows a $47 million shortfall. You add to that a $7 million subsidization from the school's general budget, an $8 million subsidy from the state, a $16 million subsidy in student fees, and the department, the athletic department, not the university.
That's just the athletic department. That's what I'm reading.
$78 million in debt.
There's more to the story here. The whole school, $2.3 billion.
Oh my.
In debt.
Oh my.
Just the athletic department, $78 million.
Yeah.
The entire school, $2.3 with a B, billion dollars.
It's bad. It's real.
Student loan debt for
bad.
graduate only averages like $21,000.
It's not bad.
So no, it's not compared to these other schools nowadays. So
how is the conference not subsidizing them more? Look, they came from the American Athletic Conference. They weren't an ACC member. They weren't an SEC member that they were able to lure in. They weren't Notre Dame that has all this money. I mean, you knew going into this thing, if you're the Big Ten, Rutgers isn't generating a whole lot of cash at anything. And so if you want to bring them in, you bring them in for the purpose of getting the New York market. Trust me, it's not for the great food there in New Brunswick, New Jersey.
I was going to say, where is Rutgers again?
New Brunswick.
21. Maybe they need to raise their tuition, because $21,000 compared to, I mean, even around here, like a private school, I paid more than that.
Is that per year or per
$21,000 per year?
Okay, $21K a year. That's not bad.
That's again compared to like private schools. You can look it up online, and public schools, or even, I mean, my God, the Woffers and the Furmans of the world, you have to, have an arm and a leg and then some, right? But
my wife said, I wish I came out of Furman with $21,000.
God, unbelievable.
So wouldn't be shocked if we saw Rutgers drop out of the Big Ten at some point, because they simply cannot afford to stay in this thing. I mean, it's incredibly expensive. So are we going to see Rutgers essentially run as a poverty program for a decade or more, so that they can take that money and pay off some debts?
According to Buckeye Mike and those Ohio State fans, that was good conference, good football conference. Rutgers a good team. That's what they say, at least. I mean, that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. It's
the world needs ditch diggers too, right? Every conference needs some whipping boys.
That's rough, man.
And that's been the biggest problem for the SEC, is the SEC hasn't brought any whipping boys in. Like, you don't bring somebody in who's terrible just so you can get access to a great market and everybody can get wins against them. They brought in power program after power program, and there you go. You got South Carolina, a program that sometimes can be pretty good.
But the difference
to the bottom.
The difference is, I bet there are other big programs that are in significant debt.
Oh, I'm sure.
You know what I mean? But the difference is the cash flow that's coming in for whatever reason.
The universities shouldn't be in that much debt.
I bet there are, though. I bet
maybe.
like the Ohio States of the world. I mean, you got to think of how much. I mean, again, I think it all catches up to them. But I would imagine that Ohio State that is a huge university, right? I would imagine that they're in debt. I just don't know if it compares to Rutgers or not.
Just Googled the Ohio State University. God, even AI is saying which sucks. Yeah. Holds roughly $3.6 billion in total outstanding debt.
So that's the difference, though. Where's Ohio State making up for it in cash flow that Rutgers isn't? I don't know.
But see, the difference is the Ohio State athletic department actually makes money.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's what I'm talking about, the cash flow.
That's the problem there. Speaking of money, Cole, and some people that may be without it, Colorado football players, if they are not paying attention to their P's and Q's, they're going to end up paying Colorado to come there and play football. This story is breaking earlier today. It's huge. The internet is like, how dare you? Deion Sanders has announced that he is instituting a whole list of fines for players. Hey, you're going to come here. You're going to get paid to play football here. Guess what? I can take some of your money away. He has implemented a list of fines for off-field infractions. I'm sure there's more out there than just this, Cole, but this is what was in the screenshot. Check this out. You late to practice, $500. You don't show up to practice at all, $2,500. You late to a team meeting, $400. No show to a team meeting, $2,000. Late to a workout, $1,000. Don't show up to a workout, $1,500.
Rack it up, baby.
Late to a treatment, $1,000. No show to a treatment, $1,500. You violate team rules, depending on how severe it is, upwards of $2,500. You get in trouble publicly or on social media, upwards of $5,000.
So I'm pulling this audio now. He did. I did hear this audio. They had this huge team meeting where he talked, the new offensive coordinator talked, and this is almost like a culture reset in Colorado. Just instant reaction, though, to what you said before I get to the audio. I love it.
Me too.
I love it.
Me too.
Or what you telling me we're holding people accountable?
Aren't you noticing that more publicly now we're hearing different universities from all over the country pushing back on players having maximum freedom, unchecked and unlimited freedom and money-making potential.
Yes.
They're all doing it a little bit differently. And to Grayson Mann's point, you need an adult in the room instead of having 10 conference commissioners that all have their own selfish interests at heart. You need somebody who's neutral in the middle, making some rules that everyone can apply.
Yeah.
We don't have that yet, but we have Deion Sanders saying, hey, this is how it's going to operate if you get into the NFL. If you don't show up to practice, they're going to fine you.
Yeah.
They're going to dock your paycheck.
I love it. I think there needs to be more of that. I think there needs to be more of in college athletics, Diesel, with all the money that's being thrown to these players nowadays is we talk about discipline and we talk about holding players accountable. Well, what did we talk about in the very first hour of the show today? People change when their money's affected, right? That's what we do. We work to earn a living. And when these players, now $500 might not be a lot to their star quarterback who's making, I don't know how much, $800K, but it does add up. And I do think the dings are what's important, Diesel, because it shows that, hey, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, you're going to be dinged. And another thing that nobody talks about, these players in college football, we're talking 1099. So independent contractors, right? If you're paid, let's say, if your NIL valuation is $600K, you go wherever and you're making $600K. That's a 1099 $600K. That's a lot different than the $600K that you and I would make if we were employed here, right? Sure. So you talk about $600K, then take out the taxes, and then you start showing these players, hey, well, this is what happens. $500 isn't a lot, but when show to practice, $2,500, that's a good little chunk of change.
Yeah.
I mean, I know $600K is a lot of money and these NIL checks are a lot, but I love this. Add it up, show them. And this, you talk about having agents that are in it for the right reasons. I love this from Deion Sanders, man.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about $600K. You're right. You got to pay taxes. Sometimes you got to pay your own medical expenses after the fact.
Yeah.
But then you got to pay your agent. Some of these agents are taking 10, 15%,
probably,
which is wild.
Probably.
And then all of a sudden, once you see
You see it. You got to see it.
Direct deposit.
You got to see it.
Or your actual physical paycheck. I don't know if these kids do physical paychecks anymore.
Probably
they probably
not.
get Bitcoin or whatever.
Yeah.
When you see that number go down, you're like, oh, crap, man. I mean, maybe I should have gone to class more. I wonder, are we going to see other schools using this against Colorado? Or will more schools band with Colorado and say, hey, we're going to have a similar structure here? But if you're using it to recruit against them, let's say you're Arizona and you're recruiting a kid, what do you say? Hey, we're going to let you skip practice. We're going to let you not show up for meetings. We're going to let you post whatever you want on social media, and we're not going to dock you for any of that stuff. So come here, and you can be as wild as you want to be.
Well, unfortunately, that's going to happen. But you have a guy in Deion Sanders who, very similar to Dabo Sweeney Diesel, is in it for the right reasons. And that goes back to what I said about these agents. If you show every single player that's earning NIL money, if your agent is doing his job the right way, he should be sitting down with that player saying, okay, your NIL valuation, $600K. Now let's talk about taxes. Bam, taxes is gone depending on the state that you're living in. Federal, state, right? Gone. Then you talk about, hey, paying me. What's my cut? Whatever the percentage is. Then, I mean, you're talking a big chunk of change for a lot of these players. And then you should have this right behind it saying, okay, well, let's say you no-show to a meeting or a film session and you no-show to practice in the same year. That's $5,500 gone out of this check. Every bit of that. If these guys are doing this the right way, and they're not everybody is in it for the right reasons, Diesel.
Yeah.
But if you really truly care about the athletes, this is 110%. I love it.
You got to assume that this is coming out of the rev share. Obviously, they can't dock NIL money from third-party providers because that money doesn't flow through the university. But hey, this is how universities could get some of that money back that they have been forced to pay these players. Could you imagine, though, Cole, how fast Kirby Smart could repave the roads in Clark County if he was charging his players $10,000 for every time they got pulled over speeding?
Oh, it'd be a lot. It'd be a lot.
It'd be real quick.
Here was Deion on what gear they wear. This is really interesting.
Don't wear your old team's gear in this facility. That's disrespectful. That would be like your lady that you have currently wearing her ex stuff. How you feel about that? She's sitting up there with a shirt on that has an ex name. While you taking and feeding and booing her up. That's how I feel about that. When I see you come into the cafeteria, you eat our food with your last teams on. Obviously, if you want to stay there, you should stay. Okay.
So you're telling me that we've gotten to the point in college football now where kids are showing up to Colorado's campus wearing their old team's gear?
That can't happen.
Right?
There's no way that happens.
I'm telling you.
I know people are stupid. There's no way. There's no way these kids are that stupid.
You're at Colorado and he's got a Utah, hoodie on, I guess. I don't understand it. He also was talking about getting death threats.
Well, Coach D had security before. We get death threats all the time. Why have a black man making it happen, making things move, making all that happen? So we had stuff that's real. How many deaths we get?
About 5 every day.
Yeah. So that stuff is
5
real.
a day.
Those of y'all that are new, when y'all chillers in the morning, be mindful of who comes in with you, especially on the elevator. Don't let.
Just so you know, Deion is now having his head of security talk to his team because they evidently get 5 threats a day.
Coerce you into skinning them up on the floor because everybody's trying to get to Coach Bryant. Those people that are trying to get to him, not all of them have good intentions. So just be mindful of that. Don't prop open any doors because my philosophy is if a door is open, they will come through. Then they're going to have to meet me.
You believe that?
Oh, I 100% believe that.
5 a day?
I 100% believe that.
God, that's wild.
I mean, there are going to be some people who don't like Prime because of the personality. There are some people who aren't going to like him just because he's a black man. There's going to be some people who don't like him because Deion made a big play against their team 25 years ago and they still got a vendetta. It could be a fan of a rival school, or it could just be a complete nut job who just wants to harm a high-profile individual.
I don't know, man. I get that people have flavors they like, flavors they don't like, and anything, but I don't know how you can't like Deion. I just don't know. I don't understand it. I know that, people are going to be fans, Diesel, of other teams and all this and that, but Deion, you can't not like Deion Sanders. I mean, he's just polarized. He's great.
I mean, and again, you ask the question, how are they that stupid? Do they really have to explain to college kids you're in a facility where somebody could just walk in, steal whatever they want?
Yeah.
They could be stealing playbooks, they could be stealing equipment, they could be sabotaging equipment if you leave a door propped open. Like, are we in that world too?
Yeah, evidently. Evidently so. By the way, I just got an email literally seconds ago, Diesel. We will be joined by Paul Maneri, the head baseball coach at South Carolina, on Wednesday on the show. So Gamecock fans, if you are a Gamecock baseball fan as well, which you should be, your head coach, Paul Maneri, will be on the show with us on Wednesday. That's this Wednesday. We'll not be on location at an Ingles. So if you know any Gamecock fans that you want to tell, let them know that Paul Maneri will be on the show. You can hear him right here in the Upstate on Wednesday. But last thing I'll say, yes, every coach should start implementing this. Where does that money go? Did you already say that?
No, I haven't seen the answer to that question.
I would like
Where
to.
Does it go?
That's a good idea, though. Think about it.
I would love to see it go back into the general scholarship fund or become a charitable donation at the end of the year.
I like both.
You know, if it goes back in, like, all right, it just goes to the next crop of kids that don't care, that don't love the university. If it goes into a local charitable donation, especially if it goes into something that they then have to go serve.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Colorado's going to make a $25,000 donation at the end of the year to the local Boulder food bank. And the student athletes that were the cause of all these fines, y'all got to be the ones going to serve the meals.
You said real quick before we run to a break, you said the next crop of kids that we don't know. I had my first real personal experience with that Saturday, not to get on a tangent here, but you've talked about it before with App State, following these teams that you don't know it's different names every year on the roster, right? With different sports. I was sitting at the Wofford game Saturday, and I think it hit me in a way it hadn't in a long time, Diesel, with this new era of college athletics that we live in, because I grew up in Spartanburg. I grew up going to Wofford college basketball games since the time I was little. Love going to Wofford games. And you know what? When Mike Young was there, you would pull for the coaches, obviously. You'd pull for the players. You'd have players there for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years, and it meant a lot. So Saturday, I'm sitting there, and I'm talking to a buddy of mine. We're talking about this. It's still fun. It's still a great atmosphere. It's still a great environment. I love SoCon basketball, but I'm having to go on my phone and look at the paper that they give you when you walk in the door to find out who these kids are, where they came from. And the sad reality is, and I was talking to Lane Fowler, the Burns coach, about it. He was at the Wofford game as well. These kids, these starting 5, if they're good this year, which they are, they won't be there next year.
Right, they're all going to be gone.
So it was the first experience for me where I felt like, I hate this.
Yeah.
I hate it. And it's just so different than what there's nothing that I can even remotely look at and say, well, you know what? The good thing about it is this. No, there is no good thing.
Would you rather, and this is a tough question, would you rather have a mediocre team with guys that are so mediocre that nobody's going to want them out of the transfer portal just to get them back for a year or two? Or would you rather start fresh, roll the dice with a new set of players every year?
Well, I hate that question.
I know, but that's unfortunately where we are.
Well,
I'm looking at my team and I'm like, any of these guys that are worth a damn this year, they're all going to enter the portal, and they're not going to be back next year.
If you have a good starting 5, all 5 gone.
Yeah.
And the answer to your question, I guess I would go back and say that's why you're not building programs anymore. So like Kevin Giltner gets the job at Wofford a few months before the season, right? You're not building basketball programs, even in the SoCon, Furman, Wofford, whatever. You're not building programs anymore. You can't build your program around the program kind of kid like a Storm Murphy, who was an exceptional basketball player, a Fletcher McGee at Wofford, who was incredible, and you had him for 3, maybe 4 years. So to go back to your question, you're building a team every year. It's just a one-off, check, one-off. And this year, think about it like this. You're coaching your team this year, but while you're trying to coach to win, you're also having to worry about making this kid happy so that he doesn't enter the portal. And all of these other external – I don't know how coaches do it. I just don't. There are so many other factors that I hate about this new college sport.
I mean, the only thing I think you can do is is preset some expectation of if you hit this goal, and this goal, here's how your NIL will increase next year, right? So if you hit your average of 10 points a night, that's going to be worth another, $5,000 in NIL next year. If you hit your average of 5 rebounds a game, that's going to be another $5,000. We guarantee you that will happen if you stay.
It's crazy. It's
tough,
crazy.
man.
It really is. Diesel, when we come back, let's dive into Clemson basketball. They are in a kind of weird opportunity or a kind of a weird part of their schedule right now. They're off for a week. So Clemson doesn't play for a week. Where this team is now compared to 2 weeks ago when you and I looked at their schedule, and we know what what February holds for this team. It's going to get tough. But a Clemson basketball overview, we'll dive into that next. I saw over Georgia Tech. And not only did they win by 8.5, Diesel Clemson, Brad Brunell, his squad in Atlanta, 77-63, a big win over Georgia Tech in ACC play. This Clemson team will now have an entire week off before they play next Saturday against Pitt. They're 17-4 overall, 7-1 in the ACC. And you look at the top 25, they're still in the top 25. Obviously, a good thing to be in those rankings on the 26th day now of January. Themselves at number 22. They did drop a little bit because of the loss to NC State, but the Tigers picked up their, listen to this, 12th straight road conference win. 12th straight road conference win in the ACC.
That's good.
And now, Diesel, now the Tigers own the longest active road conference win streak in Division I basketball after Houston snapped its 16-game streak on Saturday. That is impressive.
That is. I mean, this team it's got its warts, right? It's got its problems. It'll go on long cold streaks. It'll let teams back into ball games that they shouldn't let in. And they'll just kind of lay an egg against teams that you know that they're better than. But they have been the most consistent, I think, this Clemson team as a whole has been for a number of years.
They have been consistent. They have, again, a week off. They'll play Pittsburgh on Saturday at 12 noon in Little John. And that is the last home game for a little bit of a stretch, Diesel. We've talked about the stretch multiple times now, but this is a big game on Saturday because you want to have that momentum and confidence before you hit the road and go to California. You get a week off, and then on Saturday you host Pitt before you then turn around and go to Stanford on Wednesday, and then a short turnaround, but you're staying in California. You're at Cal on Saturday. And then you come back home and you host Mike Young and Virginia Tech, right? And then right after that, you go right back to Duke. And let's see if that ACC road win streak can continue there, if it makes it through California and Cameron Indoor. Then you host Wake Forest, Florida State, the Wake Forest game's on the road. Then you host Florida State and Louisville. So as good as this team is, they are about to encounter a stretch after next Saturday that's really going to tell us, I think, a little bit more of what this team could look like in March.
Yeah, they're about to hit the meat of their schedule, right? They haven't really been tested. Yeah, they played Alabama. They failed that test. They played a really good BYU, and they failed that test as well. They beat a good West Virginia. They've beaten a good Cincinnati. They've beaten a good SMU. But you're right. They still have some work to do to get somewhere. Now, they play against a Pitt team this weekend, Cole, that is 8-12, not a good basketball team. But again, we've seen moments where Clemson will let bad basketball teams hang around with them. I mean, they gotta find that killer instinct groove as a team where they can put a team down by 15 or 20 points midway through that first half or early in the second half, and then keep their foot there. They have to find ways to be consistent all game long.
Yeah, and I think Saturday was a big step. Georgia Tech, I was watching that game after the Wofford game. Georgia Tech really never tried to get back, or Georgia Tech was never really successful at clawing their way back in. Again, you get good bench production, though. Nick Davidson, 13 points. Ace Buckner, 12 points. Johnson had 8. Dylan Hunter, I mean, he's been good this year as well. Your starting five is not like blowing your socks off, but the bench production just continues to be steady Eddie. So what does a week off do? Let's see if they can fine-tune some things, Diesel, and get ready for what's going to be a very tough stretch run as they have, about 10 games left in the season.
Speaking of stretch runs, Cole, we're going to be on one of those for the next 13 days before we get to Super Bowl 60. 13 days. Let's do some early look-ins. I don't know, Cole, how we're going to do it, talking about the Super Bowl every day for 13 straight days without saying the same things over and over again, but we're going to start next. Before we get to the Super Bowl, which is now less than 2 weeks away, some big breaking news. The ACC has just released football schedules for member schools, and Clemson's is part of that release.
It is part of the release. It's interesting because it is a little bit different than last year's, where they avoided Miami last year.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. And I've put it on Twitter and our Facebook page at The Fan Upstate. I tweeted it out at the Cole Bryson. But as we all know, Clemson starts at LSU to open the season with Christopher Vizina at quarterback. Clemson's 2026 schedule is out. It's released at LSU, hosting Georgia Southern. They will host North Carolina the very next week. They will then travel to Cal. They will then turn around and host Miami. Then their bye week. Then they will host Charleston Southern in the middle of the season, which is weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
They'll host Virginia Tech. They'll go to Florida State, to Syracuse, host Georgia Tech, go to Duke, and they'll host South Carolina. That's their schedule. So instant reaction, could see a couple losses.
Instant win-loss on that schedule, Cole, at LSU.
Loss.
Okay.
Georgia Southern.
Win. North Carolina.
Win.
You got to be 2-1 at Cal.
Win.
3-1. Miami.
I think they lose that one.
Okay. 3-2. Open date. Then Charleston Southern.
Win.
Virginia Tech.
Win.
5-2 at that point of the season. Last one in October, Halloween night at Florida State.
At Florida, I think Florida State's going to be bad. I'd go Florida State right now, based on what I know right now.
5-3 at Syracuse.
Win.
6-3. Georgia Tech.
No Haynes King. Instant reaction. I'd go at Clemson. I'd go Clemson wins that one.
7-3 at Duke. Without Darian Mensah. Maybe at Miami. That changes things, right? Yeah.
Without Darian Mensah, I'd go Clemson.
Okay. That's 8-3. South Carolina.
Ooh.
With Lenore Sellers, with a completely revamped everything for the Gamecocks.
I think South Carolina is going to be better. Again, I'm predicting in January. I'd go South Carolina right now. Yeah.
8-4 season for Clemson next year. Maybe Dabo should have taken a transfer portal quarterback. 8-4. I'd say you're probably fairly close. Maybe even seeing 7-5.
And again, we'll have 9 months to overanalyze this, but what I'm done doing is what we did last year and just overhyping the crap out of teams. I think Florida State's going to be better.
So is the MO now to undersell?
Maybe.
To underpick, pick an extra loss or two and hope that they overperform that?
8-4 is not going to sit well with Clemson fans, though.
No, that'd be another year of.
I mean, it's just not
missing the college football playoff,
not winning the
conference, probably not going to the conference championship game for that matter.
No, I don't. I really don't think it would be good.
And I mean, they could even lose the Virginia Tech game because that's the Virginia Tech now with James Franklin.
That's true. That's true.
That's
true.
So
that's true. James Franklin, they're going to be good. Considering
where Clemson is, or where we believe they're going to be next year with a new quarterback and new everything, still experienced wide receiving core, but somebody's got to throw the football to them. I think it's safe to say that they're not in for a particularly strong season.
Well, I think the last thing I would say is what happens during the spring and summer at the quarterback competition or at the quarterback position. Does Christopher Vizina win it, going away, or does Chris Denson push and maybe somehow Chris Denson wins the job? Dabo Swinney, we didn't talk about this earlier, but that audio you played, Diesel, from Friday, in that same press conference, Dabo Swinney also said this is the strongest quarterback room he feels like he's had in a long time.
Come on, Dabo. We're past this now. Aren't we past overhyping everybody as if they're the greatest player you've ever had?
Michael Jordan.
Dear
I
God.
know. And again, that what does that do? That kind of same thing Shane Beamer did. Dabo can hang himself
Think about the
if he's not careful.
Opposite of Dabo Swinney looking at a mediocre quarterback room, unless what we all from the outside see as a mediocre quarterback room, and saying, this is the best quarterback room I've had. Really?
Yeah.
Like, are you just throwing shade at Cade Klubnik that just graduated versus the complete opposite end of that spectrum is John Summerall saying, I don't want to see anybody wearing a Gators logo in here because you haven't earned it.
I love
you
that.
you haven't worked out with this team. You haven't done anything for this team. You are a Florida player, but you are not a Gator. Yes, that's fascinating, Cole.
So we'll see. That's just off the cuff. Still 7 months away from that trip to Baton Rouge. But
would the Super Bowl be better, Cole, if it was being played this coming weekend?
No, not
really.
at all.
You want the extra time?
I do. And
why?
The reason is from a fan's perspective or from a logistical standpoint.
Both.
It used to be the week after. And I heard an interview not long ago with an ex-player Diesel, and he said, maybe it was a coach. He said, it's just, there's no way. He said it from a logistical standpoint. He said it's a nightmare to have to get everything in 1 week done, from the media, Super Bowl, radio row to the family, how long it takes players to get families tickets allocated. I cannot imagine today being Monday and then having Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 4 or 5 days.
Well, if you take away all that crap that none of these guys want to do anyway, then it's easy.
I like the 2 weeks. I like the anticipation and the build up and the excitement. I think it's a better product too in 2 weeks because it gives number one, it gives guys a chance to heal up a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Sam Darnold.
I think the rest versus rust argument doesn't hold as much weight in the NFL as it does in college.
No, but it also gives coaches more time to put in a good game plan. Imagine having to worry about the logistical side, the travel, all the stuff. The coaches would probably feel like, man, it used to be the 1 week, by the way. I don't know how long ago, but it did.
Do you remember that clip? It's probably 5, almost 10 years ago by now, because time flies so fast. That clip of Bill Cowher saying that championship weekend was the last weekend of legitimate football in the NFL season. Because you get into 2 weeks from now all of a sudden you're slowing the game down, and it's not about the football. It's about the commercials, or it's about the pregame show, or it's about the halftime show, or it's about who is there, or it's about all these different factors, right? It's not about the football anymore. There's a lot of truth to what Bill Cowher said.
It's a spectacle, right?
And I'm going to be real with you, Cole. I don't necessarily enjoy watching the Super Bowl all that much. Because the truth is, I barely watch the Super Bowl. Like, I'm not one of those people that locks themselves in a room and just like is tractor beam focused on the TV.
Yeah.
For the Super Bowl, I go to parties. I go over to my friend's house, and it's all about, hey, who made the wings this year? Who made the dip? Who made this? Who made that? This is really good. Oh, are you pay? Like, I feel like I don't really pay attention to anything during the Super Bowl because I got too many things going on all at once.
I don't mind going to parties, but if I go to a party, I've got to have a seat like where I can watch the TV and be locked in. I'll eat, but that's usually during halftime, Like
that's not the kind of Super Bowl parties I go to.
That's tough, right?
Yeah.
That's tough. I am, like last year in particular. I found that in recent years, I actually like being around fewer people because I can focus more. Like last year, I was locked in. Eagles beat the crap out of the Chiefs. It was a crazy good game just in terms of how good the Philadelphia Eagles looked. I hated it because it was the Eagles, but if you're in a big party, it can become distracting.
Does it feel like you're a little less into it because it's, no direct connection to your teams? Like, it's Patriots. It's a long way away from us. It's the Seahawks even farther away from us.
A little bit, but
no rivals to any of our teams.
Yeah, a little bit, but at the same time, the Super Bowl has always been just like it's the pinnacle. It's the Daytona 500. It is what you watch for. You watch all year so you can watch the Super Bowl. And I don't know, maybe we should do a Tolo Super Bowl party. I think that'd be a pretty good idea there.
What if the Super Bowl, this big spectacle event, was actually the Hall of Fame game that they play every year? They're like the first game. Doing it the same way that the Daytona 500 is. It's the biggest race in the NASCAR calendar. It's the biggest spectacle. It's all of that. It's the first race,
that's dumb.
And it's worth the same number of points. Like, could you imagine having a race at the end of the season that is somehow hyped and gets extra points and extra credit and extra cash on the line to make it feel like a bigger and bigger deal? Like, it feels ass backwards to have NASCAR's biggest race be the first week of the season, because that's not how we do any other sport.
It's tough because they have the chase now, right? The postseason format that they're working toward all season, but it's kind of like their kickoff. Now, I do like what the NFL has done in recent years by putting not necessarily the Super Bowl rematch, but a really big game on the opening night. I love that. I love having like a Daytona 500 feel in that first week. I want a big Chiefs, Eagle, whatever it is. I do think there's something to be said about having a big spectacle early in the season.
Corn Chip says, I'll tune in for Green Day and call it good for this year. Green Day's doing what, the pregame show? Is that right?
Yeah.
You're not going to tune in for Bad Bunny at halftime, Corn Chip? That's interesting. So yeah, it's we got a long way to go, man. This is a marathon conversation gearing up for the Super Bowl this year. It's going to be a little fun, Cole, because it's a rematch of Super Bowl XLIX. I know you're a big fan of that particular Super Bowl. XLIX, that one. That's Super Bowl 49, by the way, from 2014. New England beat Seattle in a crazy finish. This is a chance at revenge, but nobody from that Seahawks franchise, except for maybe the owner, still around.
What year did you say? Or what?
That was 2014 Super Bowl 49.
Patriots Seahawks, yeah. Seattle was in it the year before. That's when they beat the crap out of Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. Like, obliterated.
Okay.
That was I think in recent memory, that was the worst Super Bowl I've ever watched in my life.
Dan B says that's the why didn't you run Marshawn
Correct.
Super Bowl.
The one you're talking about from 2014 is when Butler picked it off in the end zone. Malcolm Butler picked it off. It was Russell Wilson, interception by Malcolm Butler, and the Patriots won.
Is that the origin of, the run the damn ball? When you got fourth and goal, run the damn ball.
Well, the fact of the matter is, how many years later, we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
And you have Marshawn Lynch on your team, and all these years, fast forward 12 years later, we're still talking about why the Pete Carroll Seattle-led Seahawks didn't run Marshawn Lynch on the goal line just about, and instead threw it, and Malcolm Butler picked it off. That was one of the best Super Bowls ever, by the way. That was a really, really good one.
I mean, I understand the logic, but you just don't agree with it when it doesn't work.
None.
If it works, you say that's a genius move.
Yeah. You just got that guy back there, man.
Do that?
You got Marshawn Lynch back there. Like, you gotta. He's one of the beast mode, one of the best ever.
Yeah. Imagine having Derrick Henry and be like,
we're gonna throw it. You deserve to lose. You deserve to lose, and that just goes to show you have to have things go your way. Tom Brady, all the Super Bowls he's won, like he had to have that go his way. I mean, he would have one less ring if that wouldn't have happened in 2014. So there's a lot to be said for that.
Are you getting into the early betting lines?
Yeah, they opened at 4.5.
Yep.
So here's the way I feel on it. Just instant gut reaction. These were what I saw yesterday in the NFL. Instant reaction. I think Seattle's the better team. I think Seattle should be favored. It's a 4.5 point spread is what it opened at. It'll be interesting to see if that moves.
How much are you going to let the game at Denver affect your,
I know
your
it's
opinion
a
of
lot
these Patriots?
because it's recent, right?
Right.
That's the bad thing. Drake May wasn't great yesterday through the air. I'm going to let it.
So good this year.
He has, and I'm going to let, whether it's fair or not, I'm going to allow that game yesterday to have a lot of effect on. Right now, if I had to make a bet, I'd take Seattle in the 4.5. I think they'll win by more than 4.5.
You might get a little something for that, Cole, because now it's been bet down to 3.5.
Has it?
It's already come down a whole point.
Wow, that's a lot
since the initial line was set. But it's the Super Bowl. This thing we got a long way, so this thing is going to probably be bet back and forth. Who
would you say right now? If you had a bet right now, would you say Seattle or New England?
God, how much do I trust Sam Darnold? No, I think I'd probably go Patriots to win. I think I probably have the Patriots winning in this game.
You would?
Yeah, I think I do.
I like Drake May a lot. I think I'm pulling for Drake May.
Yeah,
to be honest with you, I like that guy. I love Mike Vrabel. I mean, they're freaking. The culture has been reset in a huge way. So you'd go Patriot.
I would. And the Pats are 8-0 on the road this year in the regular season. They've shown that they can do it on a regular basis. And this is a cross-country trip for them because it's being played, in the suburbs of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Where the 49ers.
How is California getting all these Super Bowls? I mean, they
great weather. First of all, they don't have to worry about playing in terrible weather.
I mean, and then the next year's is in California. I mean, it was just a SoFi a couple of years ago when it opened. I mean,
hey, maybe if they'd put a dome on Bank of America Stadium, they could get a Super Bowl.
Never. I don't think they ever will.
No.
I don't think Bank of America will ever see a Super Bowl.
No, it's never going to happen.
No, it's too old. Too old, dilapidated.
Too old.
And
crap hole.
I know it feels like it, but it's one of the newer stadiums, I guess.
Right. Well, it's probably 97, 98 when that stadium was built. Yeah. I mean, that does make it a nearly 30-year-old stadium.
That's true. Well, yeah.
But that's not old though.
No, not when Jerry and all these other owners are building these freaking, Taj Mahals every year.
When Dave Tepper wants to step up and put whatever it costs, $5 billion, $10 billion, go ahead, man. But if you're going to be asking the city of Charlotte to build this thing in like Statesville, no thanks. That's what they would do.
That is 100%. It's like the Braves. I mean, the Braves took the Braves out of Atlanta. What if they built it in
Rock Hill? It won't happen.
No,
right?
A lot of land.
It will not happen. It'll probably be built over, over in Concord near UNC Charlotte or something.
Yeah. There's not a lot. I mean, downtown Charlotte, there's not a lot of. No,
you got to buy up a lot of land and bulldoze a lot to get that stadium back in town. But that's one of those iconic skylines. Though.
It is. Oh, it's a beautiful skyline.
It's amazing.
And those videos that I saw, man, from my friends that were at that game a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday night. I mean, that place was awesome. It was, and I know it. They don't get a lot of night games. Number one, but that environment, even though it's an older stadium, that environment Saturday when they hosted the whatever it was 2 or 3 weeks ago now when they hosted the Rams, it was a great environment.
Not that Bank of America Stadium has that much personality anyway, but these older stadiums have more personality.
Green Bay is a good example.
Like everything being like glitzy and perfect and I don't want that, man. Like I want to see the spot that I threw up on the wall 10 years ago and say, oh, there's still a little chunk of it there. I mean, like you want, the bones to still be there. And if you update it every now and again, all the time, it's not that anymore.
Dan B on the YouTube stream says, I stopped watching the Seattle-Denver Super Bowl before halftime, and I watched the 42-10 and 55-10 Super Bowls as a kid where Denver got slammed. That was ugly, man. But in the same sense, I thought Denver-Carolina was going to be a blowout when the Panthers played, and it was Cam versus Peyton Manning. I went into that game thinking Carolina's going to blow them out.
Yeah.
Like Carolina was playing so good. Denver was, more of a defensive team. I thought
Peyton couldn't turn his neck.
No, he was old. He was ancient. So
he had a Batman it. He had to turn his whole shoulder.
You just never know
what's going on.
I think it's going to be a good game. I think you're getting two really good defenses. I still think Seattle's the best team in football.
Fun little side note in this game, by the way, Cole, former NC State linebacker Drake Thomas is going to be playing against Drake May, who played at North Carolina. At the same time, they have faced off before, and Drake Thomas has put a hit on Drake May before, ending games for the Tar Heels. So this is going to be a fun one, man. I don't know if he's going to be talking trash to him or if they've moved on. They're professionals now. They don't do that anymore.
If you're a Panthers fan, you should be pulling for the Patriots. As you said, you thought right now the Patriots were going to win. Drake May grew up a Panthers fan. Mm-hmm. You can go back and look. He was I can't believe I forget about this. I'm glad you brought that up. All right, here's your full circle moment of the day before we run to a break. This is incredible. So if you're a Carolina Panther fan, as Diesel is, as a lot of you Tolos out there are, I'm going to tell you why, and I totally forgot to bring this up earlier in the show. This is why you should pull for the Panthers. You ready? Drake May Diesel grew up a Panthers fan. He went to Super Bowl 50 in 2016 as a kid at Levi Stadium. And now he's headed back to the same stadium to play in the Super Bowl. Even wilder, ready? It gets better. His Patriots beat the Broncos in the AFC Championship. The same team that the Panthers, the same team that beat the Panthers in Super Bowl 50. So he grew up in Huntersville, Huff High, graduated from Myers Park in Charlotte, the first Lake Norman native to play quarterback in the Super Bowl. So if you're a Panther fan, you got to pull for New England. Drake May's a Charlotte guy. He's from there, went to school there, went to high school at Myers Park. You got to pull. If you're a Carolina Panther fan, you got to pull for New England on Sunday.
Love it.
even if you don't want to. RJ says, I didn't think the Panthers would beat the Broncos. Why? Because Wade Phillips had 2 weeks to create a scheme that worked. Wade Phillips was pretty good. Tolos, let's dive into Clemson in the very next segment with Grayson, Mann, TigerNet.com. What did Dabo Swinney say? Was he right? Was he wrong? We'll get into that next.
Odyssey app and search The Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate on your HD radio at WFBC HD3.
Oh, there's just one more thing.
And on your computer at thefanupstate.com. Text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Talking Clemson and who knows what else with Grayson, Mann of TigerNet.com, who joins us on the stream. I know a lot of you watching on the stream today because you're not driving around the upstate listening on 97.1 Spartanburg or 97.7 Greenville or 101.5 Anderson like you normally would be. So you're watching from the comfort of your home. Hope you are safe. Grayson, Mann, how old are you?
I'm 24.
You're 24. I'm 29. I want to know, what does it feel like, because I have never experienced it, what does it feel like for your team to be playing in the Super Bowl?
Feels great. It feels like a return to normalcy from my childhood.
No, you are a bandwagon.
What do you? I had family growing up in Boston, Cole. We've been through this song and dance before.
I am jealous. I am jealous. I mean, how literally on a scale of 1 to 10, like 11, 12, 13?
Yes. I'm so happy, man. It was. I know people moan and groan when you say it, but anytime you go through a rebuild, your team's legitimately terrible, one of the worst in the league after this ending of the Belichick saga to Gerard Mayo. I think I had said on air with you guys that I was hoping for maybe 8 or 9 wins this year and to quadruple and then some the win total from last year. It's remarkable. It's one of the greatest turnarounds in NFL history, and I'm hoping to see that through with a Super Bowl championship here in 2 weeks.
Grayson, we had some fun in the last segment that if Drake May and these Patriots win the Super Bowl, that'll make the 6th school that has produced both a U.S. president and a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You cover Clemson. You're a Clemson alum. The question is, will Clemson produce a U.S. president or a Super Bowl winning quarterback first?
I would say right now it looks like Trevor Lawrence could be a potential candidate for a Super Bowl with the way Jacksonville's building their franchise back up. Felt like they were probably one of the better teams in the AFC this year, and certainly would have given New England problems had they beaten Buffalo in that wild card game. So I think Trevor's got a good shot here. Liam Cohen's a superstar.
Ask him who was the president. So if Drake May wins, and he'll be the 6th, is that right?
Yes, technically he'll make the 7th because Stanford produced 2.
Oh, okay.
Stanford produced both John Elway and Jim Plunkett, 2 Super Bowl winning.
So the president that would be correlated with Drake May, Grayson, would be who?
I think I saw this tweet earlier, so this isn't going to be some wild guess on my part. I think it was read that was like James Polk or something. Was
right? James K. Polk.
Was the name?
Mm-hmm.
James K. Polk.
Okay. Smart.
I didn't want to be dishonest and be like, yeah, let me think for a second. How about this guy?
Let me think. How about James Polk? Grayson,
That'd be a random poll.
It would be. What was your immediate reaction Friday? You were in the room. Dabo Sweeney, had a lot to say about the entire Luke Farrelly situation. Diesel and I talked about it in the very last hour. Now that you've had a couple of days to kind of chew on it, what are your immediate thoughts?
The overwhelming support outside of the Clemson sphere has been pretty remarkable, I would say, is that there's a lot of fans. And I think that you've heard around, just Pete Thamel was on McAfee earlier saying that even coaches across the country are applauding Sweeney for being one of the few that I think would be able to stand up and say, this is ridiculous what's happening. Because a lot of people, you look in their backyards, there's dog crap, there's a lot of stuff you don't want in there.
Sure.
There's dirty laundry. I think Sweeney's backyard's pretty clean. And so there's the rare opportunity to be able to come out and say, this is what's happening. It's hypocrisy on Ole Miss's part. And we had gotten word that this was going to be an explosive presser, but I had this feeling in the back of my mind that Sweeney would address it and then say, yeah, it happened. We can't do much about it. We're going to move on. But no, he pulled out this big binder like he was a court prosecutor and went through the timeline and delivered a guilty verdict. It was as explosive as you could hope for. And I think that a few years from now, we're going to be looking at that presser as the moment where college football started to change for the better.
Yeah, but who are those coaches who Dabo referenced that supposedly reached out to him and said, this, and this is going on in my programs. I've seen this. I've had this happen to me. So far, it's been 3 days, 4 days, and not one of them, as far as I know, has come out and said, yep, I'm one of the ones that Dabo was talking about. I've seen this happen at my program. I mean, so far, it seems like all of those coaches are willing to have that conversation with Dabo behind closed doors. but not one of them has been willing to step out into the light and say, yes, I'm a whistleblower too. This is what I saw at my program. To me, I mean, Dabo used the word hypocrisy. That sounds like a lot of hypocrisy to me too. If it's so-and-so at Wake Forest or so-and-so at North Carolina, they saw this. Why won't they step out and add to the voices that are willing to call this out?
Because I would like to bet that a lot of them probably have either, maybe it's not them, but maybe a staffer that's done some underhanded stuff that the other team can then pull around and say, well, you were doing this the whole time. This is kind of the situation with Ole Miss, LSU, and Clemson, where Ole Miss was fighting its own battles, and then over to the side, they're doing this thing with Luke Farrelly. I would be shocked. I think that Duke would have a great cause to come out and say, hey, look what's happening with Darian Mensah in Miami. We had gotten word that Miami was tampering with Jeremiah Smith, offering him a ridiculous sum of money to enter the portal and then head over to be a Hurricane. So there's certainly places across the country that could be a candidate, but I would be willing to bet that a lot of these schools and coaches aren't really able to have the moral high ground that Sweeney so-called has right now, just because of the way college football certainly operates.
Grayson, you said a minute ago that one day, hopefully, we'll look back on this as maybe a turning point where the sport got better. How does that happen?
I think it starts with the NCAA, and there's the one hope that I think I always have for college football, and you can't really do this right now because you have commissioners across each conference with their own acting interests. They're trying to protect their brand.
Yeah.
Greg Sankey and Jim Phillips aren't exactly going to get along on the structure of college football because one guy's looking at it through the lens of the ACC, which has always been looking to step back into the spotlight of football. Miami certainly helped with that. And Greg Sankey, who the SEC has always been this big dog. And so those two collaborating never is going to work or make sense. I think the first step is you finding a person with a very neutral set of viewpoints on college football. And I know we joke about it. We need a commissioner of college football. We need somebody with a singular voice that can keep the conferences in line. It'd be like if we had an AFC commissioner and an NFC commissioner in the NFL overruling Roger Goodell on all these things that he's trying to implement with the league. You need a singular voice and a vision. And I think that's the first step, because clearly what's happening with the NCAA right now is there's no commanding voice and there's no consequences for, yeah, sure, Clemson can call out Ole Miss all he wants, but is there going to be any voice that then says, we're going to investigate this and we're going to lay down punishment against Pete Golding? As far as we know, there's none happening right now.
But Grayson, you think those conference commissioners are going to be okay giving up power to somebody else?
That's where I call it wishful thinking. It's one thing that I think would make the most sense, but at the same time, it would be asking these commissioners to give up a lot of power. I mean, they're the ones dictating the seats at the table for the college football playoff right now. So you have to find a way to have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And try to find a way to keep these people happy. But it's a broken system right now. And so all we really have are ideas. But if you want to find a way to unify and structure this, you need a singular vision and you need a singular voice.
Grayson, can this be a turning point? You used his word earlier. Can this be a turning point without the transparency of other coaches stepping up and saying, this is what I'm seeing?
I think yes and no. I think it's going to require more stories, but I do feel like, and you both can agree or disagree, I think we all knew that this was kind of happening behind the scenes, but this is the first time that it's been publicly stated out loud, which I think was the more shocking part of it. Was not what was happening, is that it's finally, the quiet part was being said out loud. We all know, I mean, even before NIL, there were McDonald's bags being handed out to recruits to come to certain schools. This has been going on for ages. It's just a matter of how much it's no longer, I think Ed Orgeron was the one who said it, it's no longer being done to the back door. It's being done to the front door.
Sure.
Of how easy it is to get these things rolling. So the fact that it's public and that you have a school that's kind of under the microscope now, you have texts between a head coach and a player that was enrolled, signed a financial aid agreement, was living in an apartment on campus, as enrolled as you can be, and having this situation happen. And then allegedly NFL quarterbacks like Jackson Dart are calling up this kid and saying, hey, you need to get out of there. It's just shocking to be able to hear that in a public setting. And so the way it's driven national conversation, I think, is certainly encouraging.
Grayson, we had this conversation last week, and I wanted to get your thoughts on it. Maybe it was off air, but it's like the one friend that is in your friend group that drives really, really slow. And every time you go somewhere, everybody's complaining about his slow driving, right? And then you finally get him to break the speed limit, and he does, and he gets a speeding ticket. So now he's done. He's not driving slow anymore, or he's not going to drive fast again anymore. I'm not suggesting that Dabo Swinney is going to just decide to retire at the end of the year, but do you feel like what Dabo's experienced, and he finally went full portal and finally asked what fans wanted them to do, and then this happens, do you think that kind of, changes his mind on if he wants to be in the game long term?
I think there's part of him that's incredibly frustrated. And this is just me speculating off of what we were able to feel in that press conference. I mean, you could feel the anger and the anticipation to be able to get this out and be able to finally talk about it. And you could tell, and he acknowledged as well, as to how straining that week was to constantly have portal kids in, having to basically force these kids to make these quick decisions. Either we need to find out if you're in or not so we can go get the next guy, or you're either in and we can move on. And so just the continuous roller coaster of affairs that they had to deal with for the last week. This is the first time he's really had to do this. And he said it himself. We've done these one-off things before, but this was a little different. We had double-digit signees, and so it's a lot of kids. So part of me feels like it's like, man, I'm finally playing along, and this happens, which I think adds to the frustration of the Ferrelli situation. I think if he had been diving into the portal every single year and had 10-plus signees, this wouldn't be as big of a deal. But for someone who's been such set in his ways, whatever the narrative may be, for this to happen, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of frustration. But also part of me felt resolve from him, is that I'm going to stick through this and try to maybe be the guy on the other side of this that is about the kids and is about the education and all the stuff that he claims college football is supposed to be about. So I doubt he would suddenly, this is the move that makes him retire. But I do feel a frustration from him, and we'll see how that plays out.
Talking to Grayson Mann of TigerNet, what are your thoughts on, and do you know who changed Luke Ferrelli's bio on Clemson's website to give a timeline of these events? Because that is a level of petty that, professional outlets like official websites don't typically stoop to. Who is involved with doing that? Is it, essentially, has it been approved? Is it still there? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I got to give credit to John Blau of the Post and Courier for reporting that, because I wouldn't even think to check that, but to just have the foresight to go, let me go see what's going on with Luke Ferrelli's Clemson bio, which is just a nice piece in history because it's going to be there forever, but it's going to be the 1 week Ferrelli was a Tiger. And to have somebody get in there and post the timeline, I don't know if that was approved or not. I don't know who did it, but bravo, kudos. That's hilarious. And I wonder if Dabo said, yeah, keep that out there. Let's make sure this doesn't all of a sudden go away. And so anyone who's curious, they'll see Luke Ferrelli. They're going to see a link on Google that says Clemson. They'll go, that's strange. I don't remember that. And then you'll see a press conference alleging the public tampering that happened. I thought it was an epic move. So shout out to John, certainly, for finding that. That was a great read this morning.
Grayson, do you believe the evidence, we talked about it earlier, the smoking gun, the evidence that the NCAA has, do you think anything will actually come out from this against Pete Golding and Ole Miss?
I'm not sure. It's tough to gauge it right now. I do believe Clemson did everything methodically. Swinney was very detailed and I joked earlier, he read it like a court prosecutor. He had dates, he had timeline, like everything seemed very methodical.
Felt
so
like
I would believe everything that he read. Yeah, it was something else to see it kind of all laid out. It's like I was watching a Netflix true crime special unfold. So if the NCAA were to do something, I mean, even with the Michigan Harbaugh stuff, the self-imposed suspension, maybe Pete Golding gets suspended for whatever junior college they play as their cupcake game of the schedule. That wouldn't surprise me as hey, we did something. But overall, there's nothing really enforceable to punish. I mean, if there were different rules, maybe, I mean, with the NFL, when the Falcons, I think it was the tampering with Kirk Cousins, they took away draft picks. Do you take away NIL dollars? Do you take away scholarships? That's the next step in this, is figuring out what's punishable and how much you punish based on the level of tampering. Seems like Ole Miss did a lot here. So I don't know what constitutes what, but I wouldn't expect a serious punishment on Ole Miss's part.
Dabo equated it to having an affair with somebody while you're on your honeymoon. If we wanted to compare this to a situation that we just went through with Michigan and Sharon Moore, it would be like Michigan fans saying it's okay that Sharon Moore did everything he did because look at that staffer. She's really attractive. And wouldn't you do the same thing? You know, it's funny. We used to celebrate programs and coaches getting busted for doing things they're not supposed to do. Now it seems we celebrate programs for getting away with it because there's nobody there to stop them. Are you surprised by the Ole Miss fans? And I'm sure you had a lot of them in your mentions over the weekend, as I did, with them essentially saying, well, what are you going to do? Like this is college football. This is how it's played. This doesn't have to be how it's played. And they're certainly, I guess, entitled to be tribal that it's their school that's doing it, that got the player. So it's justifiable. Were you shocked by any of that?
I think tribal's the right word here, because what if the shoe's on the other foot? We don't know how Clemson fans would react. And I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouths. But certainly there was an aspect of this is our guy. We're going to protect him. And I think Ole Miss fans, this is a sense where they've gotten this trip to the playoffs. They got a guy like Pete Golding who stuck with them after the Lane Kiffin saga. So I think there's more of an emotional attachment here where he is their guy that didn't leave him. And so however he gets the job done is however he gets the job done. And since there's no punishment in sight, where Ole Miss fans, let's say they knew if Golding got caught, there was going to be NIL dollars stripped in this, maybe the reaction's a little different as, coach, come on, like we got a lot on the line here. Doesn't look like there's going to be much of a repercussion other than the court of public opinion with Ole Miss. So their fans don't surprise me. That's not an indictment on them. That's just them protecting their coach. And this is what college football, how they're going to operate.
Grayson, my last question for you. On the basketball side of things, a big bounce-back win, 77-63 for Brad Brunell and those guys against Georgia Tech before they have an entire week off. They did have the tough loss on Tuesday against NC State in overtime. But, 9 out of 10? Is that right? Or 10 out of 11 now that you've won if you're Clemson? Do you see anything that you look at with this Clemson basketball team and feel like they are going to have to improve on, or is this a really formidable team in your mind?
I think they're a really formidable squad with also the acknowledgement that it's not a perfect group, but there's a way that they win.
Yeah.
And for Clemson, I think the one thing that you have to keep an eye out for, and I'm really looking forward to seeing this squad play Duke for the specific reason, is when you meet a team like North Carolina State, where it hasn't been the best for Will Wade so far, but the ability to switch from 1 to 5 and to be able to attack Clemson as a smaller lineup, particularly at the guard spot, I think that's going to be a point of emphasis. And so when I look at this Duke team, they can shoot 1 through 5. They can switch every defender. That's going to be a big challenge for Clemson, but there's a methodical bruising to this Tiger team that feels very Brownell-ish. And also one other point, I think the three-point shooting hasn't been great for this team this year. It was kind of a mixed bag against Georgia Tech, but when they can shoot maybe slightly average from beyond the arc, this team is particularly unstoppable with the way they've been playing so far. So improve a little bit of shooting and get some size here or there. I think this Clemson team is going to be playing in March and maybe has an opportunity, depending on the bracket, to make a run. I truly believe that.
Grayson, anything really fascinating now that we're inside the 2-week mark for both of these programs with Clemson baseball or softball that you're seeing right now?
Just getting ready to rock and roll here in a few weeks. I think for Clemson baseball, the shift in tone from the Omaha talk and the hats, you had the messaging just about everywhere, and you kind of felt the sense that Clemson fans were tired of talking about it. Well, so is Bakich in this group, and they've really kind of stripped that away and say, we're just going to go talk. Instead of talking about it, we got to be about it, and that means we got to go win some games. And I think that did some good graces here with the fan base. And as I was told, it's a deeper pitching staff, and maybe the offense won't be as good because you lose a generational guy like Canarella. But overall, this team should be a threat to compete in the postseason.
Grayson, you're the best. As always, appreciate the heck out of you, man.
I appreciate you guys opening up with a Patriots question. Way to cater to the guests. Like, that makes me feel good.
We always do. That's Grayson Mann, TigerNet.com. Really good stuff. If you missed it, you can go back and find it on the free Odyssey app, Diesel.
The Fan Upstate on Odyssey, TuneIn, and now suited up on the iHeartRadio app.
Cole, I don't think it would take a genius to figure out how a female weather reporter asking people on the internet to send her their measurements would go awry.
Oh, no.
It doesn't take long to figure out. Here was the meteorologist.
Okay.
She was in Oklahoma, by the way. She asked for the measurements, and this is her response on air after it happened.
And just your reports that you've been sending in, keep those coming. I made the mistake on Facebook. I asked for your measurements. I meant your snow measurements. Thank you for everybody sending in your measurements, but I do prefer how much snow you have on the ground.
Opportunity missed, though. All she had to do was come back and say, our independent researchers that say most men struggle with measurements and what they report as 6 is actually more like 3.
God.
She could have hit him right in the gut and had that thing go massively viral.
She literally said that on the air. I mean, she didn't double down, did she?
No, she could have. Her name, by the way, Lacey Swope, works for News 9 in Oklahoma City.
Wow.
I mean, come
on. That. Shame on her. Not bad on her for thinking that she could post that on social media in the first place and get what she was asking for, I guess.
Also, shame on the men, right, for making it dirty and sending in a different kind of measurement other than the amount of snow measurement. That's the measurement she wanted.
Of course.
Not these dirty birdies sending in something else.
And where was Dewey today? No complaining about the weather? I mean, maybe him and Chris Justice made up.
It's been a quiet day, It's been a calm day without Dewey.
Peaceful. Maybe he didn't know we were on the air. I mean, what are we doing here,
Dewey?
Dewey?
We were on the air on Friday.
Yeah, Dewey, that's inexcusable. Try again tomorrow. Tolo's a big Tolo Tuesday coming your way tomorrow right here on the Fan Upstate.